Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VRML Season 15 EU Finals pre-show. My name is Nightfire with two E's, and I am joined by my co-caster, Chandler Sullivan. Chandler, how are you doing today on this beautiful Saturday morning, or I suppose evening, afternoon, night in some cases? Probably more for these players, night.
Yeah, we're doing good. It's raining here, so I'm definitely feeling the buzz of wanting to sleep all day, but this match is not one that I could miss. This is definitely going to be a great matchup between Imperial and NFI, having watched them all day yesterday. It's definitely going to be a great show, and I'm just excited to be here and be able to cover it for us.
Yeah, happy to have you on the desk with me this afternoon, and it is just us two for this best of five. And for those just tuning in, it has been a long road for these teams to get to where they are, with 13 weeks of regular season gameplay leading up to this. These teams have played a ton of matches in this season. When we look at that match history, you see NFI at 12 games played, Imperial at 14, with Imperial on an undefeated record, 14-0. And we'll talk more about their performance in the semifinals yesterday. But I mean, before we got to the semis, what was your impression of Imperial with how good they played in the season?
Yeah, Imperial is one of those teams. Whenever you look at the website, obviously on my side, I'm not playing them actively, but when you see them on the website, they seem like a menace to anybody that's possibly on the field with them. I'm looking at their MMR right now, like sitting at a whopping 1350 against the NA's highest, which is 1290, is a daunting number to come up against, and not one that I really want to go toe-to-toe with. And they showed a lot of that skill on the field yesterday. Like you said, we'll talk about that. And NFI is definitely going to be a great contender for him as well.
On the other side, like you said, NFI, a solid team. I mean, 9-3 is not a bad record. 75% win rate over the course of a 13-week season is pretty spectacular, and they sat comfortably there at second. But like you said, there is a gap between them. Not really in that scoreline. We look at their last matchup, the last time they played during that regular season. Imperial only won 9-7, so we could be in store for a very close match. And let's talk a little bit about the semifinals yesterday, because we started with a very close match with the NFI and Phantoms battle.
Yeah, NFI and Phantoms, they took it all three maps. First map, NFI decided to put their foot down and 4-0'd on Bazaar. And as we continued to move through the game, on our second map, NFI and Phantoms were really throwing it back and forth with the Volk rounds, really depending on Shipyard to give them what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And then when we came up in Phantoms, actually, let's talk about that last round for a second.
Yeah, the downfall map. Holy cow.
Well, even before then, on Shipyard, Deadshot went in. It was a 1v1 on the crane objective over there, and Deadshot wiggled his way in towards the objective and almost got the uplink sent. But then one of our last Phantom defenders decided to double check the entire objective and cancels that uplink. I could only assume with a button or two press away from a 5-point finish on that map for NFI.
Oh, so crazy. And then again, that downfall map, the map 3, a battle all the way down to 3-3, where, I mean, I think there was only one player left alive on the winning team.
Yeah, there was a lot of talks even just on the field about, a night map. Everybody's got that little bit of hate against them, but with the new night vision modes that you can have and the new field of view that you can have, I think it's definitely something that people are still getting used to. And it really came down to a lot of Volk rounds. If you can really defend your objective, and then on the Marsoc side, really understanding who is placed where, and really thinking about those power positions in a map like that, and also watching out for those infrared strobes, that way you're not shooting a friendly.
Yeah, it is a challenging game. It's why so many people like the game of Onward. It's that mill sim vibe to it, where it really does have that very tactical, hardcore feel, and you don't get a lot of the indicators of teammates and stuff like that that you see in other games. So a exciting series there. And then Imperial, I mean, not a lot to say other than what we've already said about them when their 14-0 season, because they 2-0'd their opponent yesterday. Who was it? Blanking.
The newbies.
Yes, Imperial against the newbies, and man, they certainly made the newbies look like newbies. I mean, 4-1, a quick 2 maps in their pocket for that 3 maps, that best of 3 series. And it begs the question, Chandler, what are we going to see this afternoon? I think that's what we're really getting to by looking back on the semifinals. Are we going to see NFI competing like they did with Phantoms for the series, or is Imperial going to be running away with this in 3? I mean, what are your impressions after watching these 2 teams fight over the semifinals?
In my thoughts for this one, on the semifinal matches alone, I think this is going to be a very tight game. Imperial, with their match against the newbies, the newbies were a good adversary for them, but obviously a little farther on the bracket than where NFI is. And as you mentioned earlier, across the season, Imperial and NFI have had a matchup a couple times. The first time they played, Imperial got the 12-6 victory, but then the second time, NFI closed that gap quite a bit,
right,
with Imperial squeezing by with that 9-7 victory. And so I think this is going to be a very tight game, very dependent on the homework that they either have done or are going to be realizing mid-match and really just adjusting their offensive and defensive pushes.
And we got to harken on this. This is practically, I mean, this is a rivalry in the making over the course of this season, because 2 out of the 3 losses that NFI have had all season long are from this Imperial team. It's like destiny has brought them to this point where they are now facing off again in the finals. And I imagine there's a lot of, experience coming in from both sides. So they really do have, a lot of match history to look at, take notes from the last time they played. There's a lot of experience to tap into on both sides. But then again, that kind of fire, like you said, the gap getting closed, maybe we see things going the full 5 maps, that full distance, and NFI really fighting against Imperial here this afternoon. It's pretty exciting. It is the best of the best in Onward, battling it out in the EU finals, the NA finals later today. So if you're interested in that, you can keep an eye out for that. But the EU finals doesn't start for another 10 more minutes, and then we'll get into the first game. This is the pre-show, just chatting about these squads, getting everybody ready and hyped up for the matchup this afternoon. And we do appreciate everybody that has stopped in for the pre-show. And I do think we are about at the time here where we can get our predictions in, Chandler, and start to prepare for map number 1 of this best of 5. And I'll start things off just to make it easy. I think I'm going to have to go with Imperial this afternoon. A perfect record and a perfect semifinals performance indicates to me we could be on track for a perfect 3-0 this afternoon from Imperial. They are definitely a powerhouse of a squad in the game of Onward, and I do not think NFI is going to have an easy time here. They lost map 1 to Phantoms, and Phantoms is a lower rank than them. Imperial has so much more MMR. I'm going to stick with the stats more than anything, and match performance based on the semis, and go with Imperial 3-0 this afternoon. What is your prediction, Chandler?
Yeah, based off of what I was seeing yesterday and just looking at the overall season stats, I think Imperial has a good chance at taking the victory on the EU side of things, but I think it's going to be a little more contested than that.
Okay.
I think Imperial does have a lot of material against NFI, because NFI was casted a lot more than Imperial, but they both are teams that also started in season 12 in 2021, and so they've had the same amount of time with experience. and both teams have not been through way too many people for their rosters, and it actually looks like it's the same amount. And so I think it's going to be a well-fought victory for Imperial, and NFI is definitely going to have some adjusting that they're going to need to do on the field. But I do see Imperial getting by on the victory today.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's I guess no surprise here on the desk, but I still do. We could go 5 maps, and it could be anyone's game. We could. It's going. I know we're in for NFI putting up a good show. I just do think Imperial is is statistically looking good this afternoon. A fun one ahead of us, though, as we do need to get ready for map number 1 to start. It will begin in about 8 minutes from now. We will get into this NFI versus Imperial battle. Thank you all again for hanging out during this pre-show. A quick shout out to our sponsors, Helga, the esports bot manager. It's a fantastic bot. It's a bot made by VRML players for VRML players, and it helps with all of your VRML scheduling, from scrims to practices to league matches. The full lifetime subscription to that product, to that service, is being given to first place for all of the regions. So there's that on the line this afternoon, as well as cash coming in from ProTube, a fantastic sponsor that offers stocks that help stabilize your aim in game. I have my ProTube here. It's the mag tube with the cups here that attach to the bottom with magnets. It is fully adjustable with all sorts of different ways you can tweak and work it. But I have mine configured how I want it, so we're not going to adjust it right now. But a fantastic stock. You can get discounts right now by using code ILOVEVRML at checkout. And we really appreciate that. And last but not least, VR Cover, a longtime sponsor of the VRML and supporting our world champions with full VR cover kits for the team. We really do appreciate the support of our sponsors coming in for Season 15. And, well, it's about time we take our break. And like I said, get ready for map number 1. Don't go anywhere. The EU Finals coming up. Welcome back, everybody. We are here and ready to dive in to the EU Grand Finals between No Fun Intended and Imperial. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by Chandler Sullivan for a pretty dang hype matchup. I mean, an undefeated team versus a squad that I think is going to give them a good contest this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be a strong matchup between these two teams. Like Nightfire said, Imperial undefeated, putting their record as of yesterday to 15-0, and then NFI putting themselves at a 10-3. That's still over a 75% win rate, and it's going to be a tight match. We both predicted Imperial coming out on top. Nightfire is looking for that 3-0, and I think it's going to be a bit more of a contest for them. And I think the No Fun Intended squad is definitely going to have some spots up their sleeves that they didn't show us in the round robin or the semis.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, right? NFI definitely has a lot of footage out there on them, and so it's an opportunity, I suppose, like you said, for Imperial to do some recon work, but maybe also an opportunity to throw your opponent off and do something a little different than you normally would. There's a good chance for NFI here to come in with some unique strats, so to speak, and very much looking forward to seeing if they can surprise this Imperial squad. And I think we could go 3-2, right? My prediction is my prediction, but I think the possibility is out there for a 3-2 finale, so to speak. And maybe I'll be happily surprised, and we'll see Imperial coming out stronger, NFI stronger than I'm anticipating. It's either way, I'm game for more Onward in the EU finals between these two teams, because it is the best of the best battling it out this afternoon. So happy to be here for it. Happy to have everyone tuning in and getting ready for this first map, which is going to be on Shipyard. You said it was fun to watch NFI on this map yesterday.
Yeah, NFI, it was a close matchup between Phantoms, and NFI just barely fell short because they did not have the Volk advantage that they needed to have a better statistic on taking the map. Last round that we saw with Deadshot running in, or not even running in, he more crawled under the nose of the Phantom defense and barely got on objective with like 6 seconds left, going for the cap, and then just that quick fail swing to double check the objective got him killed because his tablet was out, no hands on his gun, and it was just a very close loss for NFI yesterday against Phantoms.
Yeah, we talked a bit about the format here this afternoon. It's a best of 5, so we could go for 5 maps today. And so unlike in the Challenger Cup or even the semis, there is 2 bans apiece for each team, and it leaves us we calculated with our excellent math, because we are mathematicians over here, 7 available maps to choose from. And so, if we get to those later maps, it really could be quite an even playing ground, an even playing field for these teams. And so I think the strategy, for NFI this afternoon is to just weather the storm of Imperial early, because NFI's starting defense here on Shipyard. So again, to your point, the defensive advantage now in their favor, and maybe they can overcome map 1 and win against Imperial, and that sets us up for a guaranteed 4 maps if they do. So it's already, we could be going, more than my prediction is if NFI can just come out strong here on this first map. And I think we can give the teams the ready and let them know we are eager to jump in to map number 1, as is, I'm sure, most folks at home. We can take a look at the active rosters on the afternoon before we do jump into the action. And over on Imperial, we have 24 Gray, Just Do It, Abaddon, MK Snooper, and Phantom Operator. And over on NFI, we have Game Reaper, Embo, Raz, the Mad Hatter, and Deadshot. And, these rosters, Chandler, we didn't talk about it much in the pre-show. They got a lot of seasonal experience behind them.
Yeah, the only thing we talked about was how long these teams have been registered and playing. We haven't talked about how long these players have actually been on the teams. And looking at the roster that we're going to have facing off today, Imperial's got the same people that they ran yesterday. 24 Gray, Just Do It, A-Bot, MK Snooper, and Phantom Operator. And then on the NFI side, you've got Game Reaper, Embo, Raz, the Mad Hatter, and Deadshot. And one player I'm going to point out specific on this map was the Mad Hatter. He had an insane game yesterday, putting up double digits in the kills. And we'll see if he's able to do the same sort of damage against NFI as they did against Phantoms.
Into the action we go for round number 1 on map number 1 in this best of 5. Thank you all for tuning in, hanging out, and patiently waiting for the action to unfold, but it is here. The lasers are on, and we are diving into some early shots fired bottom floor by MK Snooper. Just some guesswork, it seems, as they cross suppression fire on some standard coordinates, but they'll work their way potentially underground, and that's a big change. That's relatively recent in this shipyard map, is that underground tunnel all the way to the other side of the map.
Yeah, that tunnel definitely poses some possible issues, especially if Snooper decides to go down there and cross. It gets you all the way over to the east side of the map and could pose a problem if one of the other players doesn't hear it. So I'd be interested to see if anybody goes under there. But one thing I'm noticing on this NFI defense, Mad Hatter, he's already pushed up past the center of the ship with Deadshot not too far away. It's a very similar push to what they did on the defense of this map yesterday. And so we'll see if Imperial was watching or looked it back and we can see if they're going to capitalize on it with that information.
Tremendous amount of utility coming out early there, as we saw 3 or even 4 nades go out there. A frag that almost caught Phantom in a trade as Just Do It peeks up and over. Deadshot and Just Do It going down 1 apiece, headshots apiece, full kills. No res is available. It takes us in to a 4-4. Like you said, Mad Hatter's still positioned pretty aggressively up in the middle of the ship. Raz tucked in a pretty standard defensive position. I mean, you would definitely check this corner if you do push out to the objective, or you would utility it. And then, of course, Game Reaper on the Overwatch and Embo on objective. So even if they do get that rotation underground, Embo's there to deter a cap, which is smart, but it's a whole player invested on just sitting on that objective. They are really making sure no caps are going to come in on the start of this map.
Yeah, and we've got that line coming in on Game Reaper from 24 Gray in the south, and this is going to be a close one because Game Reaper's not even looking, takes the shots and gets taken out, bringing us to a 4v3 in favor of Imperial. Imperial does have Phantom Operator on top.
Oh!
And right as I say that,
goodness.
24 Gray goes down to Raz.
That is
4v2.
That is bad news for the NFI defense right now. They've lost on objective, and Mad Hatter has to rotate now from the center ship to get back and help Embo. This is Imperial up 4 and against 2 on their attacking round. They could be setting up for a potential cap attempt.
Yeah, Imperial might be looking to capitalize on this advantage in the numbers. Phantom Operator now has migrated himself to the top of the center building, giving him an insane perspective over the objective and any rotating players. You can see Mad Hatter popping some shots in case there's anybody running down the north side of the ship. And it looks like 24 Gray as well, making his way into the blue room, wrapping around Embo. Could possibly catch him, unfortunately, from the east. Again, that's that east push that nobody usually expects. But he's making his way over to any of those elevated positions to get that advantage on the NFI defense.
Yeah, if anything, they're going to try and catch Mad Hatter rotating from ramp, in which case they really could effectively take them out. Embo, however, is still on objective, so even if they do go for this cap play, it is going to be a pretty substantial challenge. Snooper is underground now as well, so they're gonna have 2 over on the east, and they're going to be looking to pinch up onto this objective. And I do think Embo needs to maybe consider getting a little bit closer to the OBJ, because Mad Hatter's the only one now that's actually on top of it.
Yeah, as time ticks, Embo's sitting there. He's definitely waiting for any of those East players. I think he heard Snooper's footsteps, and he's going to hear Gray here in a second. With the time pushing, and they're pushing each other, and 24 Gray takes out Embo. Now, if they have an accurate kill count, and I think they do, they are going to decide to push objective rather aggressively with that minute 30 left on the clock. Mad Hatter's definitely got his work cut out for him because the capping positions are absolutely insane on this objective, and there are way too many.
If you are a NA finalist and you're watching this series, you got to be kind of shaking in your boots with how good Imperial's starting this off. They are looking strong against NFI on round number 1 as Gray flashes nicely over the top onto Mad Hatter. The Snooper Overwatch, they peek the corner. It's a 1-for-1, and Imperial, with 3 left alive on the attack, take the first point on ship. And that certainly was a very clean-looking start for Imperial. I had our sides wrong when I went to that round win, and so I said NFI won. But let me adjust the scores. And apologies there, as it was indeed Imperial taking the first round of the evening.
Now, looking at the importance of that round win on the Marsoc is going to be huge, because now it's with Imperial's side on the Marsoc first, it indicates that they picked this map, and so now they've gained that Volk advantage that they're going to be looking for to finish this map out in a heavy manner. And if they continue to do so, this map will go rather quickly and move us to a map 2, but NFI will also have the possibility to attack the objective the same sort of way that Imperial did, and squeeze them into the objective area and decide to just go for the kills and not even worry about a cap for this one, just to get back on top with that advantage.
Yeah, the 2-0, the lack of a 2-0 strike is certainly advantageous for the NFI squad here, because like you said, they can just go for kills in order to even the score and get back in track. So we'll see if they can muster that up here against what, again, was a strong Imperial performance. 24 Gray catching 3 kills in the first round, and I mean, that's one way to open things up. Again, a familiar face there, Gray, been in the VRML and is in across several different games, a very strong player, and so it's no surprise to see them playing in the opening rounds here this well for Imperial, and it looks like we will be getting into round number 2 here on map number 1. If you're just tuning in, it's a best of 5 between these two squads, Imperial and NFI, the top 2 teams in the EU region who have fought here over the course of semifinals yesterday. A whole season. It is a long road to get to the point where we are this afternoon. So big shout out to these teams too that are playing this afternoon. And man, I mean, we didn't talk about this much either, but there is just a stamina factor that has to be calculated here between these two teams. I mean, you talk about getting to 4-5 maps played in a row. You know, that's maybe 4 hours of Onward potentially. You know, and 4 hours of a headset on of you crouching and standing and going prone, and you know, like, it's 4 hours of doing calisthenics. That's you get pretty dang sweaty after 2, I would say, of Onward. But I mean, you know, you got to factor in the stamina element there when we get into those later rounds.
Oh yeah, especially like those physical aspects, but you also got to think mental, right? This
Sure.
isn't a game of just run and gun. You got to really worry about what angles that you're focusing on, and really being patient with who you're going up against, because even though like you don't have any indicator of who the player is ahead of you, that's probably the opposite team, you also just have to keep in mind that you need to get any sort of advantage you possibly can on a level playing field, or as level as the game could possibly make it. The only difference is the utility you bring on your chest and the color of your uniform, and that definitely gives a slight advantage because of the colors that you can use on the map, or if you're going to use smoke or flashbangs or grenades to get close to the objective. This level playing field comes down to keeping your mental game strong and powering through the physical capabilities of what this game requires, because whether you're crouching or laying down the entire time, getting up and down is not as easy as it sounds, especially when you can't see in your room. You might stand up into a chair or a table.
Yeah, you got to be cautious. And it looks like it could be into some kind of holding pattern here, so do bear with us as we seem to be dealing with some technical elements over on Imperial's side. We'll do a little bit of research in the channel, see if anyone's letting us know what exactly is the problem, but I don't have any messages coming through from anyone on Imperial, so hopefully they can get their 2 players they need back into the lobby shortly. Otherwise, we may go to our first break of the afternoon after our first round, which I certainly do not want to have to do, but we will kind of wait and see what the situation is, as we do seem to have players rejoining now. And I suppose one thing worth talking about is that deep roster that it's worth having on these teams. You know, you look at the full roster here, and you can see that they are taking, in some cases for Imperial, 8 players on their squad. NFI was 7, so they have additional players to bring in if there are actually, you know, technical difficulties or issues with their first sort of starting lineup. And I mean, the rest of Imperial's roster is also pretty dang impressive. I mean, so is NFI's. I mean, you're talking about Raffaello there, a longtime player. You know, they're not active right now on the roster here this afternoon. St. Sogs also on the roster there, and so you know, they have solid players to dip into if they do need that extra bit of support. So we'll see what, or if NFI end up bringing any of those subs in. I imagine that depending on certain maps, we may see some rotations of the players into the throughout the rosters. But for now, we are again just waiting for Imperial to seemingly get 2 more into the lobby, and then we shall begin. But yeah, your thoughts on the full roster there, Shanley?
Yeah, whenever you're there's a couple ways when you think about your roster, and you can look at it whether you're going to have a starting lineup and subs, or if you're going to say whoever comes in first is going to be the one who gets a spot. Or you could also base it off of your practice time. There are some teams that really measure that stuff off of how often you practice and things like that. And that's actually one thing, I'll go ahead and shout it out. That's one thing that the Helga bot is great for. And that's a feature that I think is very useful, is if you're going to base your team off of how many practices or how often you guys work or play together, the Helga bot's great for that. Yeah. That feature definitely highlights, with the spreadsheet and everything, how often you play a certain player during a scrim, during a match, how often they're even around at all. Like, it's statistics that you don't think that would be helpful in the game, and I think it's one thing that bot can definitely help out with. And I think, like, there's just many ways you can do it, and Helga definitely is able to round it out.
Indeed they are. And at this stage, as we do wait for Imperial to round it out, I do wonder if we are getting into a timeout or not. I mean, I imagine they're going to have to use one technically, right? This is out of a technical timeout coming in. And I'm not sure if that counts as one of your timeouts actually, but I think you only get one technical timeout. And then you have, I believe, a normal timeout, like a tactical one you can use. And then you get in the game. And it looks like we've stalled long enough here on the Death Chandler for the Imperial to get Abbott and Phantom Operator in. And we don't need to go to intermission. We can get right back into the action for round number 2 of map number 1 in this best of 5.
Yeah. Going into round number 2, we'll see if Imperial's going to push as far as NFI did on their defense, and see if they can capitalize on NFI to get a second round in, or if they're just going to be able, the NFI side, to be able to hold it off and get the attack done effectively and get a point against them on the offense and make it a 1-1 instead of giving Imperial the 2-0 lead.
Opening suppressive shots coming in on the stairs there as NFI tries to prevent Phantom from pushing up. Mad Hatter also extending up to the initial front stair line and finding 24 Gray on the rooftop. Not going to be any sort of easy advancements forward here with Snooper also pretty dang close to this squad, a defensive squad inside that middle building on the bottom floor, able to drop down into the underground and rotate back to 24 Gray if they need to. But for now, it is just two enemies getting very close to each other, separated by a roof and a couple of walls. Snooper able to hear Mad Hatter. Raz putting out some suppressive shots, and we're just into a bit of a holding pattern as NFI try and assess where this defense is all set up.
Yeah, the Imperial defense is definitely pushed up quite a bit. That nade coming out right over Phantom Operator's head, barely missing him. As he takes out Embo over here on the roof, you do have Phantom Operator, Just Do It, and Snooper all pushed up to the center building or on the ship. And now we're already brought down to a 5v4 in favor of Imperial. And Phantom Operator is going to be that rotating player that I think NFI needs to take care of right away. And Just Do It being the second most likely threat to go against this NFI offense.
It's like we were sort of anticipating, though. Imperial is aggressive on defense, and it almost feels like NFI are defending right now out of spawn as Snooper, so far advanced there. Phantom Operator, like you said, tucked in up here. I mean, they really just are surrounding this offense before they're even able to push up and get extended onto the ship. And it's vital that Hatter gets rid of Phantom on this roof, because if they do, they get a lot of control of this top floor, and it really kind of opens up their ability to get rid of Just Do It. It's the start of the crumble of the Imperial defense, and we can't even get too close to these guys because they are just so chatty that I don't think I'd be able to commentate with how much they're talking between each other, and who knows what they're saying between each other. Chandler, I'm not too keen on finding out, but I imagine it's some standard banter between these two squads because they're quite familiar with each other.
Yeah, I always enjoy listening to the little banter that they have going on. Mad Hatter coming up against Phantom, taking him down. Not a confirmed kill, but Mad Hatter's going to be able to get around pretty quick. And that's just the starting ripple at this Imperial defense going down. And Snooper taking out Deadshot in the center. So now he's got a good eye to take out Raz and Game Reaper as Mad Hatter takes out Phantom Operator here.
Yeah, they get that full confirm on the top floor, and it still is Imperial up 4-3. But like I said, once they've lost this rooftop, Hatter is in position to potentially advance up to Just Do It. They do have to watch out for 24 Gray, who is on sort of overwatch on that roof, waiting for someone to rotate or pop their head up over one of these vents, and it's not a safe place for the Mad Hatter to extend out from, and it looks like they are going to prone their way across as Game Reaper advances around the edge with Raz closer and closer to Just Do It in the center.
Yeah, Just Do It's got his back to Game Reaper as he slowly makes his way. They are making some tippy taps, and Just Do It turning around now. So it can be a very close one. As Game Reaper takes out Just Do It, no trade out, evens the playing field to a 3v3. They've only got one person on the objective. A-Bot on top of the cargo containers almost gets taken out by Mad Hatter. Snooper in the center and 24 Gray. I hear that is his dangerous position. And so hoping that, and for the NFI's team's sake, that they can take out A-Bot and then possibly get a cap on the objective.
It is... Gosh, there really is a cap opportunity here for NFI. Imagine opening things up against Imperial 2-1 off of a cap on your attack. That would be a way to answer back, wouldn't it, Chandler? That would be a good way to bounce back from a 1-0 loss of your Marsoc on that defensive round.
Yeah, that'd be a great pushback just for anybody. As 24 Gray getting a headshot onto Mad Hatter. Snooper taking out Game Reaper. One left for the NFI offense. Raz on the north part of the ship. He's still, his main person is Snooper as he takes him out.
I mean, what the heck? Imperial collapse on the offense of NFI, who was looking like they were in position to push. Greatly, really nicely timed, well coordinated as you'd expect, and ultimately they overwhelm NFI on top of that ship. They come out 2-0 on our first objective, and a solid Imperial round win to open things up again here on map number 1. And, well, it seems a little bit reminiscent of the semifinals matchup that they had against the newbies right now.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing Imperial coming back as strong as they did yesterday. Even with that little bit of roster issues right at the start of round number 2, they didn't let that shake them, and they were able to get that round win and put them up the 2-0 victory. And 51 seconds on the clock. These teams aren't afraid to utilize that time to make sure that they can get around their enemy, whether that be offense or defense. And like you said, Imperial was playing a very offensive defense against NFI, and I'll be intrigued to see if NFI is going to find a way to collaborate with each other and capitalize on how they play. Because one thing Nightfire and I were talking about is how different the play styles are from what I witnessed yesterday. Imperial is very much a aggressive team, and NFI has no problem hanging back and doing a little more passive angles. But it looks like they're using some time to be a little more aggressive against Imperial to try to capitalize on their blind pushes that they're doing, especially on the ship.
It is a exciting start to things here this afternoon as we do get into round number 3 of Imperial and NFI, and it certainly is. I mean, a good back and forth. You're seeing 3 kills connected, 4 kills on the board so far from NFI. But Imperial with a few more there. Snooper with 4, Gray with 4. Definitely strong performances out the gate from those two. And if anything, you get rid of the standout shooters, and it definitely does give you a much stronger opportunity of taking the round. So we'll have to see what they will plan on doing here on the defenses. Mad Hatter, eyes on them as they've pushed up and extended into this sort of forward position on defense underneath the stairs.
Yeah, the spot we saw with Deadshot last defensive round that they did, and he's going to be their main coverage on the ship because Raz is actually looking over towards the south to help out their 2 defensive players, Game Reaper and Embo, in the blue room. And it looks like Imperial was very keen on taking full control of the center building. The only spot that they can't get to easily is towards the middle of the ship where Mad Hatter is posted up. They don't have anybody super elevated in what the players call heaven on the ship, and so Phantom operators are allowed to scale this roof with no problems, as well as 24 Gray. But if Mad Hatter hears something going on above him, he does have the ability to peek out and toss a nade over, but it's going to be a heavy price to pay if one of the other Imperial members takes shots at him as he's tossing that utility out.
It is a bit of a holding pattern for now, though, as that nade does get kind of close to 24 Gray on the roof. And Imperial not necessarily rushing into things on round number 3 here. And as I say that, Just Do It does rush into Mad Hatter's line of sight, and the first kill getting locked in on round number 3 by NFI, opening things up 5-4. And I think this is maybe the first time they've gotten the kill advantage.
Yeah, this player advantage could pose huge if they are able to continue to take out these offensive players. Game Reaper, because of his line being so specific, is almost going to be a player out of the game until he decides to rotate a line. The only people that he can catch would be 24 Gray if he decides to come down the south part of the map. But it looks like Imperial would much rather go through middle or the north part on the ship, and then they have Mad Hatter to deal with instead. And as I say that, A-Bot getting almost pre-fired from Mad Hatter under the stairs, and now he's going to go for it, and Mad Hatter takes him out, bringing that to a 5v3 in favor of NFI. Looking really good on round number 3 on the crane objective for their defensive hold.
Yeah, they certainly are. A strong opening here. And a little bit of smoke to back Mad Hatter up as they push forward. Maybe give some audio disruption for Snooper and maybe try and get a flank onto the back end of Snooper, which Snooper seems to be wise to, at least, as they check that back red ramp to make sure no flank is coming through there. Phantom Operator still alive on that roof, a strong position where they can shut down some on-object, Raz's position, Embo's position, if they do catch the right angles, but that's kind of a tall order. 24 Gray is looking to figure out a way that they can advance forward, and they could run right into Game Reaper's angle that they've been holding all around. It could just be a matter of timing, and as I say that, Game Reaper drops off the angle, and that's just, I mean, standard esports timing stuff. When you're watching, no one's there, but when you look away, that's when your opponent's most likely to cross. It's like some sort of law of competitive gaming. It happens more often than not. And as I say that, Game Reaper doesn't watch the angle they've been holding all around, and Gray makes it across.
Yeah, Gray making this backwards pedal might give him some additional angles that they're trying to clear out, especially in that center. And as I say that, I see Snooper out of the corner of my eye dropping to the lower part of the map again. This is I think this is 2 rounds in a row on the Marsoc. He's gonna be doing that, then pushing over towards the east side of the map, and that's gonna give him a different perspective against these defenders as he passes a couple of the little Easter eggs that are in this map against the NFI defense.
I mean, they're gonna hear it though, right? You can hear the footsteps of Snooper underneath you, I think, or at least the comms of Snooper when they're communicating. So I think Embo and Reaper should be aware that there is a potential threat that's going to eventually spring up this ramp, get up into this 2-story, and be a threat. And they don't seem to be too concerned about that. Mad Hatter will open up and catch another kill on to Imperial, and 5v3 NFI have woken up here on a new objective, and that's all it took, a fresh perspective on the map as they find another one. There's Game Reaper holding the angle they've been holding. They'll catch Gray rotating towards objective with 30 seconds left, and now Snooper alone in a 1v5 has to make some magic happen that I don't think is likely to happen. Look at all the lasers holding all of the angles, and there's no way out for them.
All 5 guns were on that warehouse. Embo gets the headshot on him. Yeah, that was is definitely a shooting squad against Snooper. He was definitely held very tight to that position. I did hear them call him out. They said one on Blue Room, and they probably assumed, since they weren't getting attacked or anything like that in the immediate area, that Snooper was going around to the side, and Embo was watching that after that call had gone out. So I think it's definitely a good use for the tunnel, but it's definitely hard to get past there if you've got a player above that position and can hear the footsteps.
Yeah, it's it really is the long play in my mind. You know, you really have to have gone there right away and then slow crawled your way all the way through that underground passage to get and to spring that surprise flank on the backside. So it's a strategy that can work, and hats off to Snooper to try to get there. And we saw, Imperial taking that route as well. So it's one that works, but is sometimes hard to execute on effectively. So, the give and take of Onward, as we say. And it's NFI again coming out with their first round though on defense, and we will go to we'll do a side swap, and NFI will get their chance at attacking this objective. And I feel like this objective, out of almost all of the ones here on ship, is one of the more vulnerable to a cap.
Yeah, as we saw yesterday, I'll be curious to see if Deadshot does what he did yesterday and crawl up there. But even then, like positions like that are just slightly tucked away that you can't think about or remember that are there, definitely pose a big problem if a player gets in here, especially for your most common what most players call control position.
No.
You don't sit in those spots. You usually sit a little back so you can hear when people are coming up on the objective.
Nice. Yeah, who might that go, be honest?
Listen into the comms here.
It's so boring. Well, competitive games are boring. Watch out, aim up, Embo, aim up. Aim up. Free fire.
Deadshot making a call out to Embo to aim up, and he gets taken out early from Snooper, and now they're trashing on him a little bit in the game as Mad Hatter gets the refrag onto Snooper in the center and almost shoots Deadshot on the cross.
Several
early
times.
4v4. Yeah, he almost put a lot into his leg.
Deadshot really playing a dangerous game there. swinging left and right, and you don't really think about it when you're in the game, when you're trying to play the, trying to go out in a 1v1 firefight. But swinging left to right, especially in Onward, can be super dangerous because your opponents just need one, or your teammates just need one to your back to get you down and potentially dead. A good nade toss from Raz though goes up and over, and Imperial again are down early. NFI coming in strong off of another attacking set and playing it patiently, which is a good adjustment off of how they played them last time, because when they got too aggressive, or frankly Imperial were attacking, so the NFI is trying to read how Imperial's playing right now, and with that early nade, the early kill, 24 Gray getting a refrag, we're into a 3v3.
Yeah, Gray in his position up on the East Warehouse again, taking that Overwatch position is what was able to get him that kill onto Game Reaper across the map, essentially. Like, it's from warehouse to warehouse. And now NFI just really held up on the ship again because Imperial using that aggressive defense strategy to really hold them away. And one thing you'll notice on this defense is that nobody is on the objective directly, and so that's going to cause some problems if any of the NFI members Deadshot crawl into the objective and go for a cap.
Yep, they have to. Here's the question, right? If you're in a big best of 5 like this, do you really start to set the precedent that you're going for caps early? Or maybe you hold off that you're a team that's capable of capping until later rounds? I mean, I suppose, again, these teams know each other. So, is that really a valuable, something that's worth, like, trying to do to throw your opponent off and just get a different rhythm going? I don't know. But I imagine that, the cap on Deadshot's mind. 3-3, make it 2-2. They won't know that, though, with a trade. And so they're going to assume they're actually at a disadvantage. And now with Deadshot down, Gray picking off another from the roof. That defensive position been vital for Imperial.
See if Raz has the utility to cover him up. And just like that, Deadshot's going to get the res. Gray is calling him out, though. I can hear him all the way across the map here with the comms that come out. And Raz gets that revive onto Deadshot. Make it that 2-2 again with just under 3 minutes on the clock. Still a good loaded time to work their way around this defense, but Gray is going to pose a strong threat to this NFI offense, going for the crane objective. A-bot rotating to the blue ramp, watching down the ship, and then rotates directly onto objective. 24 Gray still posting up, looking to see if any of the NFI members are going to take that tunnel across the map. But he's still got a strong line on this central warehouse garage door to take out one or both of these NFI players.
If they could just get rid of Gray, or they're not, excuse me, if they could get around Gray, suppress Gray, get a smoke out or something on the corner, get past Gray, there's a real chance of that cap coming through, because Abbott's the only one there. And you can hear, urgency in Imperial's call-outs with Gray there, calling out the rotation to the south, and they're very much locked in and feeling, I suppose, the pressure of the EU finals this afternoon, as who will be crowned our EU champion is on the line in this best of 5. A bit of a prize pool there, too, or at least the ability to advance to it. If you do win here, you get a chance of competing for it in the World Finals. And like I said earlier, if you're an NA team right now, Chandler, you got to be a little bit concerned. I mean, both of these squads are looking strong here today.
Yeah, they're showing their strengths of what they can do on a map like Shipyard. I'll be interested to see how we move into any small or large maps to see any more strengths that these teams will have. And one thing I was hearing is that these teams are really whittling down their kill count, because Deadshot said that there's nobody on Heaven or he was dead. So that NFI actually does have an accurate kill count, and Deadshot is dead set on killing 24 Gray on this east roof. And so we'll see if they're able to go after it. 50 seconds on the clock. Raz is going to make a lot of noise, and Deadshot not too far behind him. A-bot is going to be able to hear him, and then Gray is going to be overwatching this objective. Deadshot does have an ability to get around, but just 30 seconds left on the clock. There's still a lot of problems that he's got to encounter here.
They are down here. Gray is on the overwatch, and they'll go for the trade on the corner. That defensive position may be better than I anticipated in terms of what it can watch. A smoke would have been so big for NFI there, though, at any point to push any one of those corners to get closer to the objective and deny Gray visuals, but they had to use it to get the res, and so utility was gone, and Imperial add on to their scoreline 3-1 here. And, well, one round away from taking our first map in this best of 5.
Yeah, that one round is potentially not going to be easy for the Imperial side. This objective that we're going up with is the East Warehouse. You've pretty much got 3 ways in. You've got the front door, underground, or that little cheeky edge of the ship run that leaves you highly exposed to any players that are watching this objective.
Yeah.
And so really you really got to go to eliminate the threat, and Imperial has the ability to focus on the kills to take a win on map number 1 here of the EU finals. And so they've definitely got a strong case here to not rush the objective and just go for the kills.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's sometimes the objective is easier to take, though, and I mean, I would be interested to see what kind of success you could find in like a full commitment to an underground send here. You know, if you send everybody into that bottom floor and everybody committing up to push right on top of this objective, it's certainly tough, I imagine, to work through that bottom floor because there's going to be C4 or some sort of utility or a defender with this objective ready and waiting there. But, I'm curious to see if we'll see teams, so we get a shout out there from the squads, if we'll see Imperial going into that underground rotation.
Looks like Gray looking across the map, looking to take some shots over at, that's Mad Hatter on the roof. So they're going to have some roof battling going on. Phantom Operator taking the center roof, and a little bit of banter here from Deadshot and Mad Hatter having a good time. But there's still a lot of focusing to be done while you're having these conversations. It's becoming essentially second nature for these players because they are so high level. And we'll see how they're able to battle that as they continue through their first map here.
It is a good opening for NFI again on defense. They've had several of these, but you look at the end scoreline, you'll see Imperial still leading 3-1. So, you know, is it enough to get them the start, or maybe potentially this round? We will have to see. It is again a good opening. They shut down the rotation south, and so it is just up to the ship and the rooftop rotation to make some magic happen. We'll have to see what they can put together.
And not only is it good to take off that one person right off the rip, it was 24 Gray that they took out, which is going to be a huge problem for the Imperial side because he is their top shooter. Their next best is Snooper hanging around, where is he? In the center, his usual spot. So we'll see if Imperial's able to do it without Gray's Overwatch, and if Phantom Operator is going to be able to take his position for watching for these threats. But it looks like the defense is very tucked in. The most exposed is going to be Embo because everybody expects that spot, and then Mad Hatter would probably be the next best.
Yeah, you can see Abbott scanning the blue room to try and find that defender out from Embo, and Snooper will catch Game Reaper out. An interesting shot there. Where was that from? The bottom floor? From
the center, it looks like. Yeah, you got him right through the door, through that garage door peak. So it was definitely a quick line to check, one that could easily be overlooked from one of the defenders as Imperial tries to weed them out and get that last round for map number 1 here.
It is so close, and they certainly put on some solid offensive rotations so far on ship this afternoon, so who's to say they can't do it again? Just Do It. Tossing a guess grenade, it seems, or excuse me, Mad Hatter at Just Do It, tossing a guess grenade at that ramp. Almost the timing there, you know, Just Do It was maybe considering pushing down to that down that ramp, and it's all just like, you know, the map knowledge and the timing that these players have, and it's very interesting to see how they act on that knowledge sometimes with whether it's pre-fire or, again, just kind of grenades trying to guess rotations out. So nobody goes down from either of the nades thrown, and Just Do It will work down the ramp undetected because Embo is maybe a little bit too nervous to push out and extend their position into those windows.
Yeah, he's Just Do It got over the wall in a way that I didn't know you could actually
seen that
do.
before.
I've literally never seen
Come
that
on,
before.
man. It's freaking 15 seasons of Onward, and that's well, they do it, and I'm sure that there's going to be people talking about that in League General, but Just Do It's over the wall, and maybe it's a spot that people have known, and we're just getting some new info now. But hey, you learn something new almost every day, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely it's honestly gonna pose a lot of problems for this NFI defense because they're really depending on Embo to make sure that nobody crosses. That's what the blue room's all about. And that cross is just going to be huge, especially with a minute 40 coming up on the clock. Just Do It. If he's going to continue around the building, his next threat is Raz, and Raz is in a rather disgusting angle that's going to probably catch him very off guard unless the Imperial squad is expecting him in this corner. I believe he played there yesterday as well.
I mean, it just goes to show you how invested they are in holding that back flank and how they know the dangers of leaving this spot exposed on this objective as Imperial starts to push their way forward. The time dictating their push with 1 minute and 8 left on the clock. They have to advance to objective.
Yeah, well-coordinated push from them. It's almost like they're doing almost like a T kind of looking push here. They've got Just Do It on point, A-Bot not too far behind. Snooper and Phantom really looking from the back to these higher level, elevated players, I should say. And like you just mentioned, these smokes coming out is going to provide noise suppression and visual suppression for players like Embo or Mad Hatter, especially if they get inside. A-Bot going up the ramp here, possibly going to be a huge threat for Mad Hatter.
And then the whole team.
Just wait.
You get rid of Mad Hatter, you can control this roof. A-Bot can be firing down onto the defense. Hatter goes down. Raz catches Just Do It on the backside, but the coordination from Imperial is here as they collapse around the objective. Deadshot and Raz are the only two left alive to defend, and Snooper flying down. Abbott jumping off the roof. Imperial clutching things up with 2 left alive. They'll take the opening map in this best-of-5 series 4-1, just like they did in the semifinals yesterday against the newbies. They put on a strong performance here in the opening map.
Imperial definitely showing it how they did yesterday, giving NFI the 1 point just to sort of feel them out and then taking 4 right from under them rather quickly. This last round definitely being one of high anticipation. 11 seconds left on the clock. Just to Do Its push definitely gave Raz a run for his money, made him rotate into the objective, and gave A-Bot, after he killed Mad Hatter, the ability to jump down and take out Deadshot and Raz. And then Embo falls to Snooper. It was huge. Yeah, like you said, a huge, massive play, well coordinated from Imperial. We're going to be moving on to map 2, and if anybody's got any predictions, be sure to let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, we are eagerly awaiting to see where we're headed here this afternoon. We don't have the band details yet, but if we get them, we'll be sure to update you on them. But for now, we're just waiting to see where we're headed for map number 2. And I mean, we can look at the statistics, match history, where these teams prefer to play. And so what's the thought process here? Imperial picked this map?
Yeah, from the way that they positioned themselves on being Marsoc, that gave NFI the ability to pick their side. And so my assumption is that Imperial took this pick, and it wasn't a not thought out pick. Shipyard between these two teams, they both have played it 3 times this season, winning it all 3 times, and it really came down to the round win statistics on paper. And on paper, Imperial showed up with the 81% win on that one. And then just to make sure I'm saying these numbers right, for NFI, their round win percentage was 71. So the 10-point percentage difference showed a lot on the plays that they were doing here and how much of a win that Imperial took on top of NFI.
It is an interesting map 2 choice here coming in for this best of 5 series. It looks like we are headed to Tanker for our next map. And your thoughts on Tanker here this afternoon between these two teams?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting pick, especially from NFI. This season they haven't even touched the map, and Imperial, having played it once, winning and taking all 4 rounds right off the rip. So this map being one that is very underplayed, I think it's under the 50 count for being played, is something that we're gonna see plays in here that we're not ready for, and people pushing when we're not ready for them to push, just because this map statistically and just utilize is a big question mark for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's the night element too, right? I mean, for Tanker, do you risk not taking night vision at any point?
The only time when, in my opinion, when you're looking at not having night vision is when you're in this objective that we're at inside the rooms of the ship, or if you're beneath. But one thing that Onward has implemented is that you're force-picked night vision no matter what. And so on these night maps, you get night vision anyway, and it doesn't cost you any additional points. And you can even change the color at no additional cost, that getting amber vision or white or green. The only time you're spending points on night vision now is if you want digital view or a widened field of view with the night vision on your face.
We talked about it in the pre-show a little bit, but that's like a relatively new adjustment too, right?
Yeah, that came with the 1.13 update.
Interesting to see how it will impact these teams on these night maps, like we saw it impact them on Downfall Night just yesterday in the semifinals. It's man, again, exciting times here in the game of Onward for the EU finals as we do get into this this next round. And I'm sure you guys want to see it, so let's show it to you. Round number 1 of map number 2 here, underway with 5:20 left on the clock, and the offense pushed up just a touch. Kind of a, I would say, a very passive defense here coming from Imperial in comparison to where they've been. But I say that with Grim Reaper finding a kill all the way extended here into on the bottom floor.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed with this NFI squad, they did have a sub out. They did bring in St. Sogs, we were mentioning, on the roster earlier. And so we'll see how much of a power player they are on smaller maps. I think they probably have the sub out based on size or type of map. And so we'll see, like you said, NFI capitalizing, taking the first kill, getting the number advantage against this Imperials passive defense. Their most pushed up now is A-Bot, and he's watching on the top deck across in case of any offensive players. And the only people up there is Deadshot and Raz. So they have the potential for 3 players getting on top of this defense. And I'll find it and I'll let you know. But I'm anticipating a C4 on the stairs into the basement of the ship.
Yeah, it's pretty standard fare to have at least some level of defense on the back stairs, where essentially your only exit from the basement is. There's no other way to get up out of that basement rotation. So 3 players are eventually going to have to pop up out of these stairs, and it looks like Gray is the one that is defending. And I almost wonder, has Gray, I'm looking at their kit right now, they've got a flashbang. I don't see a C4 detonator, so I wonder if there even is a C4 here. Maybe Gray would calm that it needs to be detonated and someone else would trigger that, like maybe Phantom or someone. But there may be no C4, and it may just be the gun of Gray that they're relying on. We got to shift our attention back and forth, though, and keep it here with Abbott for now, as Deadshot and Raz are communicating and getting closer and closer to Abbott's tucked-in position on the upper ship level.
Yeah, that spot that Gray's in is utilizing the new physics on the windows. Every window used to be bulletproof. Nothing got through at all. But now you can actually shoot through those and get the kill. And it looks like we're taking some pre-firing shots from Deadshot over towards the cabin of the ship, and it's not going to catch anybody. Deadshot also making the call out. They're probably really tucked in, which I would agree. This Imperial defense isn't as pushed out as they were on Shipyard. Maybe it's because they're not as comfortable since this is an NFI map pick. I'm curious to see if NFI, again, has something sitting up their sleeve for this map. As Deadshot pushes A-bot on this north part of the ship, he's going to hear the steps and do that slight rotation. As Deadshot looks underneath, looking for the toes of any player that could possibly be here.
Yeah, it's why A-bot is all the way around the corner there, so they're going to get that full commitment from Deadshot first, and they don't. Deadshot's moved past. They've already cleared this side. The C4 detonated that was placed on the corner of that cargo crate goes off and doesn't catch Deadshot out, and Deadshot still doesn't seem to be too keen on the idea that there's someone just around the corner from them. That C4 got awfully close, but A-bot has not made a sound since detonating it.
Yeah, the only thing you would have heard is that clacker throw, but with those smokes that he threw out, it's going to definitely cause some problems for A-bot or Deadshot here. Deadshot pre-firing into the cabin yet again, and A-bot is definitely playing sound here. Just waiting for Deadshot to push, and he wraps around, gets Deadshot, evens the playing field 4v4. Raz almost finding the back. Snooper taking out Raz. NFI is slowly tumbling down out of here. Now we have to worry about 24 Gray and his line to these stairs. I think NFI did that huge pick looking for that C4, but Gray has a dangerous line here.
That new window element going to be interesting to see how it impacts this rotation out. And I gotta wonder if NFI is like, they're obviously aware, you know, with how big that impact is on these windows, with how much that changes this map. They gotta be keen on the fact that Gray could be here. Gray does get the call out that the push is coming in and is rotating back and forth. Everyone here on the bottom floor, everyone pushing up. Phantom, Snooper, Abbott crashing back, and you can hear the urgency in Gray's comms. There's a good flash, a nade coming through. That's a smoke though, and we trade 1 for 1. There's another kill coming in from Phantom Operator over the top as the push coming in. Everyone got out of the stairs past 24 Gray, but not quite past 24 Gray. They'll find the final kill, and it'll be Imperial holding things down off of what was a surprise push out of the stairs from the NFI squad. And to your point, no C4 there really made it much more dicey than I think it should have been per se.
It was definitely one that was a dumpster fire, freaking everybody out. 24 Gray making some loud call outs. Saint Sogs threw a smoke, but I think mistakenly put it back on their kit and was just running around like, why am I still seeing green smoke? It's kind of goofy to watch, but those coordinated pushes are what you're going to need on an objective like this one. And NFI just fell short because 24 Gray just missed the shots through that window, gave away their position, and had to do a lot of running around. And that caused a huge scurry from our defense. And our offense tried to capitalize on that, but just got squeezed and were funneled into one area really fast.
Another good opening for Imperial, but it started in favor of NFI. They got that early kill in the on that basement level, shutting down that early. I mean, it's a back and forth as it has been, and as it will continue to be between the two top teams in the EU region. And again, the finalist here automatically gets the lifetime subscription to the Hellgate Esports Manager bot, but then they go on to compete in the World Finals for a chance at that cash prize from ProTube and those VR cover kits. So a bit on the line there, obviously the prestige of being the Season 15 champion, and it's certainly a, strong opening again from Imperial. And, I predicted 3-0, so at this rate, my prediction's right on track Chandler, and well, I'm feeling good about my commitment, based off of the 14-0 entire season, undefeated season, and then the 2-game wins in the semifinals. They really are looking like a incredibly powerful team here in season 15.
Yeah, that MMR difference is definitely showing on the field here as NFI gets really pushy against Phantom Operator. Deadshot almost get taken out by Phantom, and they've already got a problem on their hands. Instead of doing 3 under deck, they did 3 top deck. 24 Gray and Just Do It being the 2 below deck are going to have problems with Saint Sogs right there. But Deadshot already put the offense on a hold.
They did indeed, and they are getting closer and closer to Saws on the bottom. Imperial's so vocal. I feel like that one thing that maybe separates, this team from what we're seeing with NFI. They are really communicating a lot when they're pushing up, and not a lot of joking around, quite frankly. We're hearing them very focused on the gameplay in their comms, very, as you'd expect, active and disciplined comms to get them the info they need in order to find the kills they need, find the picks they need, and ultimately push in on the NFI defense.
Yeah, Imperial's now rotated to be predominantly on the north part of the ship because of Deadshot's position. 24 Gray just beneath him, calling him out. Deadshot calling for Just Do It. Another nade coming over at Deadshot.
Oh!
And it lands.
That's gay.
I mean, that is exactly why you don't joke around in comms, because Gray communicated in the position. Deadshot was all about having a nice, fun chat with their opponent, but it ends up in their death. Game Reapers giving away their position. They're trying to rotate back away from that and almost get their back shot up by MK Snooper. They tuck in just barely, but they're not going to last long here if they make that rotation, and Imperial are up 5v3.
Raz now watching the south part of the ship as Just Do It and 24 Gray populate that part. Phantom Operator not too far away from them as well. Saint Sogs looks like they're going to be left alone in the bottom of the ship as NFI's defense is falling slowly, like a stack of dominoes here. Mad Hatter being our control player. It sounds like we're making some call-outs on the north side from the Imperial side. And now we're getting some pre-fires from A-Bot, but not going to connect. And they really just have to worry about the objective players.
Yeah, I wonder what the play is going to look like here from Imperial. Sog's still there in the basement. And, I mean, like you said, they don't need to worry much about that bottom floor rotation. They can push right up to objective, and we are going to see Gray pushing right up to Sogs here, who is playing a very disciplined defensive corner and will catch 24 Gray pushing up through the doorway. They'll drop back to rejoin the team on objective and find the first kill for NFI.
Yeah, Imperial has a nice line here. The smokes are going to slowly start to roll out as they try to push the objective. The next problem looks like it's going to be Raz in an outward-facing position. I can't see if he's got a line, but he's using the window and the door to see if there's an Imperial member pushing on the south, and that'll be Just Do It if he continues in his path.
Ooh, those 2 smokes could have been better utilized than sitting up on the second floor rafters where nobody can possibly be. They wanted them to be essentially right where they are, but on the bottom floor to deny vision from the window. Instead, the window is still open. The team will still push, though, as they have denied vision from Raz's angle, really, and Phantom gets up to the objective. I gotta wonder, are Imperial considering a cap opportunity here as they work closer and closer on this top floor?
Saint Sogs and A-Bot are going to be almost aiming directly at each other. A-Bot looking for Mad Hatter because he is the vocal one on this defense. Saint Sogs is inches from catching this line. Saint Sogs gets Snooper right outside the front door. A-Bot takes out Saint Sogs and Mad Hatter. NFI 1 up, and it's going to be Raz. There is a cap opportunity. A-Bot going for the cap.
Wow, and Phantom will find the kill instead, and could have been a 2-point, but Imperial doesn't lock it in. Instead, they take the round win nonetheless, and they go up 2-0 here on map number 2. This is, again, Imperial just performing as they have been all season. And I still feel like I'm waiting for NFI to kind of spring back into this thing. You know, they had a rough start in the semis against Phantoms as well. You know, that first map didn't go too well for them. And then they fought back in maps 2 and 3. So maybe it just takes some time for them to get warmed up, for them to focus in. We'll have to see if NFI, now down 2-0, do start to lock it in on map 2 here. It's not the end of the world if they lose this second map. They still have the long road they can take of 3 wins in a row to take the series, but it does put them at series point for their opponent, Imperial. And again, getting closer and closer to 2-0 and then maybe 3-0 if Imperial continue to play like this. They are just looking super clean. Their comms are on point, and I'm really seeing, Chandler, a lot of very good coordination, very in-sync maneuvers from the Imperial team. They really do work well together as a unit.
Yeah, that last push that they did towards that objective in the cabin, it literally just looked a line of blue going across the ship, clearing every corner.
Yeah.
And then they did a little bit of splitting up, and were just able to pick out the defense as they were watching these tight angles. Definitely really using those windows, since they are now a penetrable piece of equipment that they can use against their opponent. And Imperial was looking for that 3-0 opportunity on Tanker, and I think they could have had it if their comms were more utilized on that push, because Raz was on the south side, but that's one of those things that you don't know as a player.
Yeah.
There, we're up here watching, being like, why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
And
seeing
really
through the
put
wall.
your mind in, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to really put your mind in the player. Like, they're around here somewhere. I have no idea where.
A new objective opens up a new opportunity for NFI as we do get here to the top floor in round number 3. And very curious to see if Imperial extend on or get aggressive on defense. And if anything, Imperial is playing it very passively here on this defensive round. They were, I mean, if there was ever a round to push out and defend aggressively, I feel like it would be this objective, because you can really extend a good way up onto the ship before the opponent can get there. But instead, everyone just tucks in on Imperial.
Yeah, this is one of those objectives where you really got to weigh your decisions here, because it is so central. They do have some easy pushes if they smoke the immediate area, but if they push up too far, you also have to worry about those players going underneath the deck and rotating around to that west side of the ship, or even just coming up right in the middle and wiping through that defense. Yeah,
it's Deadshot is wary of an aggressive threat as they call out, I think someone's going under us. That would be, I guess, one way to push, right? Extend all the way out from the bottom floor and try and spring up behind the offense.
It's almost an idea that's reminiscent of Shipyard. If a player goes under and just crawls the entire time, A-Bot taking out 2, as I'm mentioning this, crawling across the map and getting behind the players would be an insane power move. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smokes. Saint Sog's taking out Just Do It with a P90. Raz taking out Snooper. We're now 3-3, even out on the field, covering objective. Raz kills out Phantom. NFI really picking apart this defense. Saint Sog's takes out A-Bot. 24 Gray goes down. Wow.
They changed suddenly. You know, like, that was a much more coordinated NFI squad. They utilized several great smokes. They forced rotations from Imperial on the objective, and they caught out all of the kills. 3 left alive from NFI on the attacking round, and they take it. And I mean, we talk about capable objectives on certain maps, and this one certainly is a pretty big threat. So I think if there's anything, it's almost a net positive in some ways that Imperial just forego that round and only let one come through, instead of trying to get more fancy with it and potentially risking a cap coming in from NFI.
Yeah, it was almost like a throwback to the first round, how crazy that room got.
Yeah.
When a lot of comms were coming out, when those smokes went out and they settled and NFI decided to push, They were talking after every kill and just really identifying where all these players were going to. That way they could just wipe them out. And if there's a window, somebody would have gone in for that cap, especially with that numbers difference that they had against Imperial on this objective. It was a dangerous position, but I will give Imperial the hat tip, so to speak, on not allowing that cap to go out. But NFI had a great coordination on that one and definitely gave their heart into getting that point on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, they've gotten one on the board so far in the first map, and now on to the second map as we do get into round number 4 here. It's, again, a demonstration that maybe NFI is just certain things aren't quite working out. Who knows? You know what I mean? At this stage, at this level, any little thing can separate you from success. A one bullet, obviously, in a game of Onward can be that determining factor. And look at the difference here in the NFI defense as they do extend up. This is the kind of style I was thinking Imperial would deploy.
Yeah, these immediate smokes definitely gave the NFI defenders their cover to get to these spots. Deadshot seriously just sitting in the middle of it, can't see a thing. A-Bot actually has a potential to see him over here. And Saint Sog's double covered on smokes on the south side, gonna encounter Just Do It. Deadshot taking out A-Bot here, going for Phantom Operator, but the table turns there. We're already down to a 4v4 within our first minute.
Good early opening action here. NFI trying to take it to Imperial, giving them a dose of their own aggressive medicine, and it works a little bit as Gray does get across. Sogs does open up with a kill there. Swings around to look for Just Do It, but Just Do It patiently waiting. Gray is down in Resable, so Phantom can swing over and pick up that res, but Game Reaper's looking to cut that off as they find the kill. Mad Hatter actually is the one that connects on the Phantom Operator. Snooper now rotating around. They'll find Game Reaper. Mad Hatter trying to shut down the rotation, but it's 2 for 2 and soon to be, maybe, if they can get across, 3v2 for the res.
Yeah, if they get that res, it's going to be a number game now using... It looks like Raz is just pre-firing through the windows. Mad Hatter watching over here as he can hear Gray talking the entire time. He wants Gray dead, but it doesn't look like they have a clear line to get over there. Lots of talking from Snooper, Mad Hatter. Yeah, they're just throwing the words out against each other. Gets the kill onto Snooper. That's going to give the possibility to confirm Gray. Let's do it. Last up.
Chaotic calls here as Raz identifying Gray. Just Do It has to be getting information from Gray here about this location as Raz tries to confirm the downed body, and there's 3.5 on the clock, so Just Do It can rotate and get this res. Raz has to be careful. Do they have an accurate kill count? Does Raz know Just Do It's the last one alive? Because if they do, they can kind of pinch in onto Just Do It's location, who will get across from their original line of fire over on top of Raz and continue to rotate over towards Gray. They really do want to get this res, but is it worth it at the cost of your life?
Yeah, Raz not really wanting to push towards Gray because he doesn't want to get taken out and leave Mad Hatter alone here on the objective. And there it is, the rotation. Just Do It takes out Raz. It's a 1.5v1.
At this stage, if you're Mad Hatter, you know, do you risk trying to find Just Do It, or do you just continue to tuck in and force this rotation? I mean, is holding Gray worth maybe holding a different angle and exposing yourself? I don't know.
Yeah, Just Do It has a lot of time on the clock. 24 Gray, his time is very limited at this point in the round if they're not going to go for the revive directly. Mad Hatter is going to be pushing around, and Just Do It is going to let 24 Gray tap out there as it comes down to a 1v1 with 2:25 on the clock.
It's a bit of extra utility. A flash over towards Gray's position, but now we are into the true 2-minute drill, so to speak, as Just Do It gonna work their way forward, and Mad Hatter, rightfully so, just gonna hold down the objective, playing this one patiently. They understand that Just Do It has to push up here. They can hold that line and watch through the window if they choose there, but These windows all penetrable now, so not exactly safe spots, and it really does change how you do defend. And I think Just Do It saw Mad Hatter cross, as they are going to go right into Just Do It's line of sight. There's the shots that come in and they connect. Imperial in a 1v1 find the kills they need and will go up 3-1 on map number 2.
A lot of patient plays here from the Imperial squad. They were down in numbers and they decided to rip it back into their favor, bring it to a 1v1. Well, the 1.5v1, Gray had the ability to give callouts until he tapped out. And then Just Do It had to really sneak around to find out where Mad Hatter was left up. And yeah, it's a really... You see these rounds and you see the numbers on the board, but it's not just... It's not the numbers that speak to the round. These rounds come down to really close player counts and not just thinking like, oh, 3-1, it must have been a wipe through. Like, each of these rounds is well fought, and Imperial just is able to get those advantages against NFI just a little bit more. And is that just because of the homework that they're able to do on NFI compared to how much they've got against them? I don't know. Or is it just how often they play with each other and they just know some of these people's weaknesses? And that's what this game comes down to, is can I find the weakness of the other player that I'm trying to go up against? And when you find those slight mistakes, that's when you get shot and killed.
I mean, we are looking at a long-time rivalry at this stage that probably does extend beyond just this season. But in this season alone, they have faced off twice. Imperial have beaten NFI twice. And, you know, like you said, they're fighting hard. We're looking at the KDs here. You're seeing 4 kills coming in from Raz, 5 from the St. Sogs. They are in the mix. They're picking up kills, which is an indicator that these rounds are close. You know, that's how I always look at things. When you see a big scoreline separation like this, you got to look at the KDs to really figure out if these two teams are in a good series. And we certainly are into a good series here, but Imperial just not making any of it easy for NFI. Every bit has to be earned, and even the 2v1s that they have advantages on. And as a nade comes up over the top, Raz will avoid an early death, and Imperial won't get that early advantage. NFI have found it several times today so far, though.
Yeah, and look how pushed up Game Reaper is in the middle. He's playing tiptoe down beneath to make sure that he can get past. Mad Hatter taking shots down underneath as well. It doesn't look like any of the the Imperial members are going to be down there. They're really cradling this objective again. The only person that's really holding the back is 24 Gray. Not hearing a lot of comms from these two teams. A minute elapsed on the clock.
All I'm hearing is the back and forth between Mad Hatter and Phantom Operator. They're not afraid to chat it up, and Mad Hatter not afraid to give away their position with comms, pistol shots. In fact, it may be the intention to draw the attention of this defense over in their direction. Why else are you shooting pistol shots into the air for no reason? I can't imagine, but they are certainly not afraid to draw the eye. And to your point, maybe it is an audio distraction for Sogs and Game Reaper to work their way underneath undetected.
Yeah, this is one thing that we did see him doing yesterday. Didn't think too much of it. We thought he was just goofing off, but it seems like it might be a thing that he's trying to do, because he's got the attention of Phantom and Just Do It, and he's trying to really call them out and pinpoint where these players are. But Saint Sogs and Game Reaper did get past, and they are going to go against 24 Gray here in the back. Just still really setting up, trying to find out where these players are. The NFI offense is trying to capitalize, and maybe they're trying to go for that 3-3 and get that cap out, and which would be an insane push, especially for how tight this Imperial squad is pushed up and holding this objective.
It really does seem like the flank is the big investment here. We won't see really a play from NFI until maybe even a minute and a half, with how slow Game and Sog have to work their way here, because they still can't stand up and run. They can't afford to sprint here and get closer to these stairs. They have to get all the way to the stairs silently in order to ideally surprise their opponent here on the backside. They're probably expecting one to be here, but what is happening? Is Mad Hatter? I was wondering if they really are just gonna run up to Game Reaper and Sogs from the basement, completely give away the whole basement rotation. I don't know, but they haven't connected yet, and Gray is still playing a very disciplined line. They are not gonna look away from the stairs.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mad
and
Hatter
look
is
at
definitely
Mad.
here just to call him out.
Yeah, he is giving away a little bit underneath there. All the slow work of Game Reaper and Sogs to get to the stairs maybe squandered a touch, but here comes the...
Gray's got a nasty line here. He's coming for the other one, and he got him.
Double kill on the stairs to shut down what was the entire NFI plan. If they don't have those two flanking on the backside, all they've been doing is giving away their position this whole time on the front. Wow. With Mad Hatter communicating and now Deadshot throwing some utility, Raz with some utility, and the entire Imperial defense here on this top floor with utility themselves. A C4 detonates to catch Raz on a rotation. Deadshot swings up, goes down in the window in between, and now Mad Hatter tries to push up from the stairs and just do it. Will be patiently waiting for someone to advance up out of this angle as they rotate to that window. Don't catch Mad Hatter through it, though. Continue to swing around. Mad Hatter ducks back down to live for just a moment longer.
Trade. Ian. One header north under and one center. Do it.
Still using these call outs to make sure that they know where this last player is. It sounds like they do have a very accurate kill count on the defense. And so if they get this, which they are looking very strong in doing so, they're going to take map number 2 and follow the predictions of Nightfire as the trade comes out. It's a 4-1, yet again, in favor of Imperial. One thing I noticed on this KD board is that Imperial's kills are well spread out against their members. Last round, it was 3s across the board except for 1-5. And so that really indicates to me that this team is coordinating with each other and really putting the work well spread out instead of depending on one player. And that's huge in these types of games.
Especially when you get to this level, when you're at the top, when you're battling between rank 1 and 2, everything matters. All the details matter, and we're clearly just seeing a more focused Imperial team here this afternoon as they take that second map 4-1 and are, like you said, getting closer and closer to the 3-0. Where do we go from here? It's likely to be Imperial's map pick. They certainly do like to get the range going on Downfall, but also USS Quest, 200% win rates on there. Limited playing time on those maps, I suppose, so it's more likely that maybe we go to a Quarantine, a Snow Peak, but those likely to be banned by their opponents. So instead, again, with 4 bans getting thrown out there by 2 bans apiece from both teams, there is a limited pool to choose from, much like you would in a regular season match, but it's a best of 5. We could be done here in 3, though, and we are going to head to series point for Imperial as we get set up for Subway for map number 3. And tell me what the stats, what's the story the stats say, Chandler, for both of these teams on Subway?
Easily, I can tell you it's an Imperial pick. They've played Subway 9 times. They've won it 100% of the time, winning 36 out of 46 rounds played, putting them at a 76 round win percentage. And on the NFI side, they've played Subway 5 times, winning 3 times. That's a 60% win rate. Okay. And then winning 16 out of 27 rounds won. So that's a 59% win rate. And so Imperial's looking to really shut this down right now. Right. They really want what you said, a 3-0 closeout, make it the length of a regular match and go home, or go, not necessarily home, they're all probably home, go across their house, sit down and finish the night out.
Yeah.
They're looking for it.
Get ready for the holidays and then get ready for the World Finals. Again, after this, later today, we do have the NA grand finals where we will get an NA champion. We already had the OA finals earlier today, and we will have 3 top teams from each region that'll then face off in the World Finals for a chance at that prize pool. And so, we talked about it a little bit. I've said it a couple of times, but if you're an NA squad watching Imperial, you got to do some homework right now. You really got to analyze the strategies they're deploying here today, because there's a lot to learn. They're very coordinated. They're using utility effectively. Their defense is aggressive. Their timing is solid. It's not going to be an easy opponent, to say the least. And that's what you'd expect when you do get to the top. The OA champion, I don't actually know who won over there in that region. I haven't checked on that VOD yet. Do you know? Dig it up, Chandler. Figure out who won that earlier today.
Yeah, from what I saw, it was KFOD again. They're looking to go towards the World Finals and rip it out of some hands again this season. So there was some chatter about it, and people were sending like those gifs of somebody holding 2 like WWE belts, and they're like, this is going to be KFOD this year. And so there's some hype around that team already.
Wow.
And seeing who they're going to face off from the EU and the NA is going to be very interesting.
If KFOD's going up against this Imperial squad with how they're playing now, that's going to be a heck of a match. You know what I mean? Really any match we get to, whoever the NA finalist is too, we're in for a great World Finals for season 15 for sure. But that's to come. That's next year, technically, the beginning of January, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we're going into the holidays for the World Finals, but it's regardless something to look forward to still, even after this EU finals here today and the NA finals later this afternoon. It's a lot of Onward in the postseason, and we love to be able to send it out to you fine folks at home. There's a ton of folks tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action, and we do appreciate everybody that is in here and supporting us. It really does mean a lot to see everyone enjoying the VRML action here on the EU side today, and I do hope that a bunch of you tune in for the NA side as well, because there's likely to be another great series unfolding there, so do keep the eyes peeled for that. But we're getting back into the action. It's a best of 5. This is series point for Imperial. If they win this map, they'll take the EU finals home. NFI have to win 3 maps in a row to bounce back from a early 2-0 deficit, and so no easy task ahead. Really, either team is Imperial. Well, make quick work of their first kill. Mad Hatter goes down to 24 gray. Embo is tucked in here and does swing out, looks for a kill, catches one, but gives away their position.
One's going to West Main.
Embo in a very tucked but pushed spot, one that we're not expecting, as Gray took out Mad Hatter there on the corner. It's going to be very interesting. They took out one apiece. We're already 4-4 in the first minute, and this is going to be something interesting. Embo was subbed out last map, and he's brought back in to duke it out against Imperial on their top map. And so this is going to be interesting to see if Embo's the reason why NFI is a top contender in this map against the Imperial squad, having done his homework and knowing his spots and those intricacies. Otherwise, it's going to be a very interesting fight, and we'll see if Imperial's going to capitalize, maybe give NFI one round again as what they did for maps 1 and 2, and then close it out with a 4-pointer for both sides.
Have to see what they do on this opening set here. They're already into a 4v4, and Embo got flashed earlier and pushed off of their corner angle, but they're now tucked into the stairs, defending from a bottom floor rotation, potential flank, but also listening in to comms and footsteps to get an idea if Phantom or Snooper are pushing up onto their angle there on the corner stairwell. And with 4:20 left on the clock, they have plenty of time to work with, and so we'll keep our attention divided on the duo here, but then also send ourselves back over to Just Do It and Abbott, who are working the other side of the street, the duo there trying to extend up and get closer to the objective. Utility coming up and over, and that's a nade toss down into the vat. What the heck? How do you make that throw?
Holy cow. That was a nade toss and a half. They knew he was over there, and now they're calling it out. They're like, oh, we got him. Deadshot's going to rotate for that revive. That was a nasty nade, and if Deadshot wasn't there to hold them back, I think they would have pushed it.
Well, now the chance is here that Abbott can extend up to the corner and deny them this angle that they were holding. As a nade does come in, a flash up over the top. Abbott will catch one. Phantom on the other side going down to Embo, but Phantom will be able to get rezzed. And so NFI will go down to just 2, and Imperial will maintain a 4v2 advantage on the offensive round on Subway.
Yeah, Imperial looking very good on this objective. Deadshot, the last hold on the main alley. Raz is going to be a hold on the south stairs still. But looks like he's probably going to rotate to watch the shop alley over here. Make sure that they don't get a hard push over on this west alley here.
So many angles to really, I mean, not so many, 3 to cover at the end of the day. But when you're only we only have 2 players, it's a little bit tough to cover all 3 of those vital angles you need to. So Deadshot is holding a line, Raz tucked in. But I mean, if at any point Abbott or Just Do It swing wide, they could potentially catch a shoulder of Raz. And so it is just, well, you got to take the risk, because Just Do It's going to prone their way around the corner, catch a kill onto Raz, and now Deadshot doesn't have line of sight onto the objective. You don't want to leave that exposed like they are right now. And Phantom is pushing up. The call out comes in. Deadshot just decides, hey, I can't defend. I got to go for kills instead. Swings the corner, goes down, and Imperial lock in a very clean start to this next map. I got to swap teams, as I forgot to there. And another point into their pocket. 1-0 out the gates. 4-1 map 1, 4-1 map 2, and in a best of 5, we're on map 3, the decider here if Imperial take it again.
Yeah, I'm looking at the kills already. Imperial still spreading that work across the entire team, making sure that there's not one point person. A lot of the pushes that they were doing were well planned out, and definitely it gives a lot of insight on what's possible, especially for utilities. That nade over that wall is not one that one usually expects. There has been a lot of experimenting with utility on these objectives on the ground level, specifically going over like an entire, what I'd call a city block. Like if you go from Chinatown over to that south alley, like that's quite the throw.
Yeah.
And you need to really work up the gusto to get behind that one. I mean, I've even got somebody on my team that's been trying to figure that out, and I think I had one go successful, and it was insane to think, because now you've got the problem of them having a down player, and then you really got to think if who's going to rotate and where your positions are going to open up on those rotations.
Oof, there's so much. That is one of the reasons I like the game of Onward so much. I think it's why a lot of people like the game of Onward so much. It is super tactical. All of the utility, all of your decisions, they really do matter so much, just because the time to kill is so small. It's so quick. You can only afford to get hit by a few bullets at any given point. Suppressive fire has value of holding people down in positions. Smoke grenades are big. C4s we see play vital roles in defensive sides, and so it's it's the fun of competitive Onward. It's why we're tuning in this afternoon, and we go back into it for round number 2 as Imperial defend and NFI get a chance to attack. And look at this, Imperial thinking, let's try to get a little bit extended here, as Phantom already catching a kill onto Embo. Snooper flashing the corner and extending forward onto Raz, and Game Reaper ready and waiting for that over-aggressive extension, but not ready for Phantom on the other corner. So it's a 1-for-1, and teams are 4-4.
Mad Hatter pushing Phantom here in the alley, on the west alley over here. Phantom Operator gets a flash out and is able to pull out to make sure that he's not going to be taken out right away. This 4-4 is going to be interesting because Imperial just has enough players to watch each entrance into the objective with one additional to assist. And if they lose another, it is going to get very tight here, as NFI will find the ground that they need to get closer to the objective.
Mad Hatter, NFI, they play in this one pretty quick. I mean, they do get that fast spawn. It enables you to get aggressive out here early. And so it's, I guess, no surprise that they do play fast and find that early kill on the corner. I mean, hey, this is what we've been getting all day. Imperial playing aggressive on defense, and it's good to see NFI finally reading that by defending from that initial swing out the gate on that defensive side. Not an easy thing to read sometimes. It's why players do it, because it can be so effective. But, oh, look at this timing. Both players are going to peek the corner at the same time, and Game Reaper will win that exchange, putting NFI up 4-3.
I heard the call come out, Echo 3 from the NFI side, so they have an accurate kill count, which is going to be huge. And one thing we haven't talked about at all, honestly, especially in the subway or the longer range maps, is really identifying their spawn. One thing we saw possibly at the beginning of both rounds is that one player ran down the south stairs to see if they would be able to catch any of the players right off of their spawn. Otherwise, if they don't, that spawn is identified easily and they can adjust to attack the offensive players to really put them into a defensive hold. Just as we saw on Shipyard with Imperial's insanely aggressive defense that they like to play quite a bit.
Let's see what the NFI offense is going to do here on this corner. Concerned about a potential threat of C4, as they rightfully should be, in the smoke coming in to deny vision from Phantom Operator. I do wonder what utility Phantom does have, if any, or maybe they're just going to try and swing the corner for bullets. But NFI is almost fully committing to this rotation here. All 4 players now on this Sex Alley, as it's been called. Triple X every day. We'll see if it's more than triple, and 4 kills getting locked in by Imperial to get another round, or if NFI put their annual 1 round on the board, as they have so far.
And a flash goes out, not far enough. Smoke dissipates, and Phantom Operator takes out Raz. Smoke was on the objective to cover A-Bot's vision as he throws it away to give him a more clear view. Deadshot tosses another one that A-Bot's not going to get to, and there's the number 3. Only 2 effective, and Phantom Operator is still sitting on this corner waiting for these 3 NFI members. The playing fields are even. It's a 3v3.
Another smoke.
Talking utility.
That's the 4th smoke. 5th smoke. Phantom pops out for another one. Deadshot says enough of Phantom attacking and pushes forward to catch the refrag. 2v2, a thick wall of smokes on objective. What's the play for NFI? Abbott and Gray seemingly not concerned about a cap threat as Deadshot prones and tucks in. They could be capping. Abbott catches the kill through the smoke, as you have to, and they continue to put rounds in through the smoke. It's necessary to do this when the objective is smoked and you don't see players doing it often enough. That saved the round for now as Game Reaper goes into a 1v2.
Yeah, they are clearing that threat on the objective. Smokes are all gone, and I think they use all of their utilities. Yeah. Phantom Reaper, when we saw him get caught, he was caught mid-reload, and so that definitely also, you always got to think about how your magazine is holding up against all these shots that you're putting out. Now they've got a tight angle on this, like you said, as the players call Sex Alley. They do have it crossed very tightly, and Game Reaper is definitely going to have his work cut out for him, especially from that tight angle from 24 Gray. And A-Bot has the complementary angle to make sure that he's not crossing their lines.
It's going to be a 1-2 play here from Grim. They're going to want to get Gray on this peak here, which they do, but then swing to get Abbott. The trade ends up meeting Abbott left alive, and Imperial put another one on the board. 2 points away from taking this series, becoming the EU champions, and going on to that World Finals opportunity against, like we said, KFOT, and the winner of the NA Finals later today. I believe that starts at 3:30 p.m. PST with the pre-show, and then 4 p.m. PST with the first game. It could be an hour off on that, so let me just double check real quick, because I've been Googling all of this info all day today to make sure I'm up on it. And of course, when it comes for the time for me to know, I've forgotten, so do bear with me here on the time of NA. It is, I was an hour off, so it is 2:30 pre-show. That's 2:30 p.m. PST. That is roughly 2 hours from now, an hour and 50 minutes from now. We will be getting, or no, yes, an hour and, oh gosh. Yeah, an hour and 50 minutes from now. Yeah, I was right. We will be getting into the pre-show for the NA Finals, and then the games start at 3 p.m. PST. So do, again, keep the eyes out for that action later today. There is more Onward left this weekend, if you can believe it. I mean, go back and watch the VODs, because what a stellar battle NFI put up against Phantoms yesterday. That was a really fun series to tune into.
Yeah, it was me and Sergio just commentating, and we had Chumbate on the cams, and
Yeah.
honestly, having that spread of people was great because there is a lot to talk about with these two teams going against each other. It was quite the fight we saw from NFI coming out just on top, taking maps 1 and 3 and losing map 2 to the Phantoms on Shipyard. But again, that was one of those things where you see the numbers. It was a 4-3 victory for Phantoms, and every round came down to barely making the cut on the round wins, coming down to 1v1s, 2v2s, the 1v2. It's all it's all so tight, and I always will recommend go check that out.
Yeah. Check that out, but stay here because we're into the action for round number 3. Imperial are 2 rounds away, a cap away from taking this series. And, well, they haven't gone for a cap yet, so I would be sort of surprised to see them prioritize pushing for one now. But, hey, excuse me, anything is possible. And some early guesswork here from Snooper on the bottom floor just to make sure nobody is going to push up or extend out around that corner. They won't run into anybody until they do push out over to the basement, where Deadshot not afraid to give away their defensive position as they sing loud and proud on that corner. Mad Hatter on the stairs as well, and NFI set up and waiting for the Imperial offense to push in the first minute.
I saw Deadshot does have a C4 clacker on his chest, and oh, there it is. It's in the service tunnel, just facing the doorway. So they're definitely hoping that they walk past it here and just really focus on Deadshot talking and singing the entire time, as he's got 2 of the Imperial members getting ready to push this fork in the tunnels.
It looks like it's going to be a 2-2-1 split. They've got 2 over there on the top as well, 1 here on this basement entryway, and so we'll have to see what the oh, there's the C4 denied, and that's pretty standard stuff, right? You toss a nade down this alley and then out the doorway, ideally as well, to shut down both of those spots you would place C4.
Yeah, those nades are always huge, especially on this objective when you're pushing this tunnel. I'm hearing Deadshot sing Christmas songs.
Yeah,
he's a very talkative one on this one. He wants to get them held at this fork. One thing I do notice, Mad Hatter just above Just Do It at the service tunnel entrance. Right. And so we'll see if there's going to be some action there, but they really want to clear out the NFI members from the service tunnel exit onto the tracks.
Embo's in a pretty risky spot. You don't want to be too close to those stairs because, again, a good nade toss out can be the death of you as Gray goes down. Abbott with a quick refrag. Catches Mad Hatter. Just Do is able to pop out, confirm that kill, and Imperial keep things 4v4. Back down on the basement. Like I said, you don't want to be too close to the stairs because the nades come in. Snooper catches the kill with the nade. Embo gets confirmed. Imperial are up 4v3 with 2 in the basement. There's a real chance that they get rid of this basement defense and push into that objective for a cap to wrap this up.
Yeah, Phantom Operator heard Deadshot doing his moving around. I think they've got an accurate call on where he's at. Deadshot making an accurate call out for 3 in the basement. Looks like Just Do It pushes Deadshot, and they're ringing around, and they do trade. Deadshot resable, but A-Bot, no, Snooper gets the confirmation. It's a 3v2. NFI has 1 on the objective, 1 on the center platform. We'll see if they're able to take out A-Bot. That'd be Raz. And then Game Reaper to hold the 2 Imperial members from the service tunnel here. Now they join forces on the objective, and they're going to be worried about covering these 2 points of entry. Luckily, it's only the 2 for these 2 NFI defenders.
Yeah, it's not a terrible advantage. 3v2, definitely something they can come back for if Raz commits to getting aggressive, which is risky, but does commit to getting aggressive and push over to the other stairs that could really help shut this down. And Game Reaper connects with a big kill there on the train tracks and finds things into a 2-2 now. A very big kill from Game. And they heard Abbott on the call out, so they'll also be looking for that kill too.
Yeah, 2-2 with 2 minutes on the clock. I was saying yesterday, this keeps happening, whether it's 3-3 in 3 minutes, 4-4 in 4 minutes. I think the EU's rigged in timing things out like that, but it's just one thing that I noticed is that the numbers are always the same across the top there. And we'll see Phantom Operator laying on the tracks, Abbott slowly pushing the center here. They do have time to play this very sneaky. Game Reaper is their exposed player, and when he goes down, Raz has really got to work it.
Yeah, he's there and able. He's got the Overwatch. Abbott ready to swing onto Game here on the short corner, and they are separated by a small piece of a triangle on the objective. As Raz peeks out, catches the kill. Abbott's there, and they'll find the last frag. Another crazy close round. Chandler, every round, I mean, look at the KDs. They're finding kills on NFI, but Imperial are finding round wins. And that kind of matters a little bit more, especially when you're on what could be the series map for Imperial. They're 1 point away from locking this thing in.
Yeah, we're really close to your prediction here that if they win this, that's going to be overall season. It's going to be a 16-0, an undefeated season for Imperial, making their way to the World Finals, posing a huge threat to whoever they go up against between the OE and the NA side of the league. It's definitely going to be one that you don't want to miss when that comes out in mid-January. But right now, we want to focus on these regional finals because that's really going to determine who we see moving on and who you want to keep your eyes out for in the lobbies, because they're going to be constantly working throughout that time between now and the World Finals. So really keep your eyes out in the Onward lobbies, and keep your eyes out just for the NA finals coming up later tonight.
Yeah, and while we have everyone here tuning in, a reminder that the VRML is much larger than just one league. We have multiple leagues that we run for multiple different games, a variety of them, including tennis esports. I just put out, I think, my first cast, the second one coming out soon for tennis esports on the Tennis Esports YouTube channel. I'd love to get some more reception on that. Pretty dang fun to cast, honestly. People really enjoy the game. We have a good bit of players there enjoying the Tennis Esports League. Breachers is having their postseason next month, so you can look forward to Breachers action in the finals next month in the weekends of January. And Vale just announced the start of their season, the preseason starting in January, in the middle of January. So there's a ton to look forward to with Onward ending here and going into the off season. There's a lot of games to get into and play right now, and then a lot of games to play with the new year, which we'll talk about maybe a little bit more. For now, we got to focus back into the action as we get into round 4, and Imperial just need a defensive hold here to take the EU Grand Finals.
Yeah, I'm following here myself with the NFI squad. They put all 5 into the tunnel to make sure that they are not overwhelmed here. Phantom Operator going to be an early pick for Mad Hatter from the boiler room towards that entrance of the service tunnels. 24 Gray is going to be their patroller over there, and I'm not seeing a C4 in the immediate area that could be utilized or on the body here, but there are some useful utilities that could be in NFI's benefit for using. Just Do It positioning himself just above the entrance to service tunnel to really box them in. Their only way out is either through that service tunnel entrance or going back up to the ground level.
It's very, I mean, I guess Imperial are fine giving the basement up and prioritizing holding this upper floor, but they really don't have anyone watching the basement entry. So if anything, it's going to have to be kind of like a retake from Imperial, where they're going to have to allow NFI to kind of creep their way in to this basement space and then push down from the stairs. It's going to be like a weird, almost NFI defending Imperial attacking kind of vibe if NFI just kind of keep moving forward here through this basement.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting push. The way that Imperial decided to defend this, they are very off of the objective. And if NFI is going to feel very eager, they push, they kill Gray, then they just got to push hard and really send that code fast. With a 4v5, NFI having the advantage here, there's a possibility that Imperial might give them another point towards their total on the match today, but it's going to be a very interesting defense to watch unfold.
Indeed, it is. Plenty of time left. 3:50 on the clock. Still, everyone here in the basement. No one's extended or rotated to that top floor. No one's going up the stairs at the train track. And look at the swing in from Imperial. As we take a look at the overhead, you can see they're crashing back to the stairs. The top floor rotating back to the basement. The indicator here that this basement push is what's coming in.
Yeah, all of Imperial is now coming down these stairs to cover the objective. Abbott is going to be going into that cove right next to the objective to make sure that they do have 1 point person controlling the objective. Just Do It still watching on center platform, but the entirety of NFI is on this. And one thing I'm hearing from Deadshot is that he's expecting one on the left side at the end of the tunnel. So they did some homework, but Imperial is not placing anybody over there, so they are just wasting some bullets on that position that Deadshot so desperately wants killed.
A 5v4 advantage here. We'll see, like you said, if NFI can get their 1 point on the board, or maybe 2. I mean, honestly, the ability to push up here, they could, but just like that, in a flash, Game Reaper goes down. They lose another over the top, and NFI get the quick res. Ray finds another through the smoke, and that res doesn't mean much as they're down to 3.
No, we still.
Oh, bro, he just comes.
Yeah, this 4v3 is gonna be tough with 24 gray on those stairs. Really utilizing that corner to get around and get those shots off quick and get some more cover that'll keep him from getting shot from these players. The NFI squad is really committed to the service tunnel entrance, which I believe is very powerful, considering they'd need to do a lot of clearing if they decided to go back around to the center platform or up towards the north or anything like that.
Hard to get nades out through these bars, though. As you saw, Deadshot trying to get a nade up towards Greg. Couldn't get the toss they were hoping for, and it bounced almost to their demise. So fortunate that they're still up on this corner angle, but the move is coming in for Deadshot to prone up and maybe spring up from the tracks on to Gray to try and catch that kill. Just Do It will also be here to quickly snap around and find the refrag, though, and that's kind of a nice element of the Imperial defense, is that they are covering this push from the basement quite well without really investing too much in the bottom floor. And what a nade toss from Raz.
And Just Do It there for the revive. Deadshot takes them both down. 3v2 Imperial, the last two are on the objective.
Two guys.
Snooper is still watching the center platform, but Abbott is going to be their next threat until Snooper comes down and really watches down here. 45 seconds left on the clock. Could this be it for NFI, or are they going to topple Imperial's defense and get them their first point on the board for Subway map number 3?
Nade comes in from Abbott. Deadshot on the corner. 30 seconds. Raz and Mad Hatter pushing in a great flash that slows down Raz. And Mad Hatter completely connects onto them. They have to prone, stop, and push in now as time ticks down. Every second matters. Abbott here pops out, sees Raz. Deadshot commits to swinging the corner. Abbott finds one, goes down in the trade, and NFI, with Raz left alive, will start a monumental comeback train if they can get more onto this train right now. It is the first round of what needs to be 3 in a row and then 2 maps in a row to get them a EU Grand Finals victory. So they at least shut down the full 4-0 map 3 wipe. But Imperial go back on the attack. We go to a new objective up top, and Imperial have been looking very good on the offense so far today.
Yeah, this Chinatown objective is going to be one that is, everybody loves this one just because it grants its own different opportunities for offensive pushes as well as defense. Again, this objective is one that you have 3 entrances to, similar to the South Stairs objective that we saw played in the first set of rounds. And so this objective is going to be one that is going to be very similar, and if Imperial can capitalize on it like they did on the last objective on the ground level, then they're going to close it out with a very consistent 4-1 victory across all 3 maps. But again, this is still able to be turned around if NFI gets these next 3 rounds and then pushes for the next 2 maps. It's not impossible, but they do have a long road to do so if they want to find their way into the World Finals and the title of EU regional champs.
It is, like you said, a tough hill to climb, but it's doable, especially with NFI. They've been a team that competes hard, fights back, and maybe we'll see them pick up a defensive round here, start things going, maybe try and get a good offense. You know, it's a step-by-step process, a round-by-round effort that they'll need to make as we do get in to round number 5 of map number 3, the series-deciding map for Imperial, the series-deciding point. If they can get just one more on the board here, they go on to the attack. We do swap objectives like we said already, and Mad Hatter getting some early flashes up top to maybe catch out any rotations along the north side. They won't spot anything out, and Imperial, if anything, are slowing down their offensive push here out the gate to not really get into early aggression, maybe recognizing that they've lost a couple too early in these rounds and not been at the advantage.
Yeah, this is going to be... It's a little different here. Imperial usually does have a 3-2 split. They are now doing a 3-1-1. Gray roaming on his own. Looks like he's going to be going through the service tunnel entrance, and his problem is going to be Game Reaper right off the bat. He might... I think it's too far away to be hearing anything through the ground here, but he might be trying to get some audio cues from those players as well to give to his team as they slowly take control of the south part of this ground level of the map. Now they've all really pushed together. 4 on this main alley, Gray down beneath.
Yep, just a matter of time until Imperial spring their push, and I wonder if they're going to split now. You know, maybe go 2-2 here, send Snooper and Phantom down one lane, and just do an Abbott down the other. Snooper and Phantom will join with Gray as Gray pops out from the stairs, and that'll be the timing they rely on to try and overwhelm this defense here on this side. And it'll be up to Abbott and Just Do It to make some magic happen on their end. And the pinch is going to be the play here. 4:10 left for Imperial to work with, and it's plenty of time for them to split off and clear their way up.
Yeah, 2 minutes off the clock. They've definitely still got a bunch of ground to cover. This portion of the alley is the most dangerous. There are way too many tight angles that can be utilized as a defender. Deadshot on one of them, Raz on the other, and one that's not utilized is on the northeast part of this alley by the dumpster. That's just one that you can expect a bunch of utility out. And we're getting some shots here from Phantom as Snooper slowly pushes. Gray is ready to come up and possibly go against Reaper because Reaper hears his steps. This will be an interesting push that they decide to use. Gray gets hit by some shots and he gets still killed by Game Reaper. And that's going to be a big kill for NFI to continue their hold on this defense, hoping to get their next round to continue playing on Subway here.
Yep, it is another good opening kill advantage for the NFI squad against Imperial. It is NFI starting to fight back. It just took 2 maps and almost a 3rd map to get them to the point where they were finding the kill advantages. And now Snooper is waiting for Game Reaper to extend just a little bit farther forward as Phantom does get a nade toss there. Don't think it's going to catch Game Reaper out as it does detonate, and so Game will stay tucked in. Does communicate, though, and ultimately giving away their position for good. So Snooper and Phantom now very aware of Game Reaper in the corner.
Yeah, NFI continuing to hold their one-person advantage on the Imperial squad. Imperial really playing very patient and utilizing their utilities. Embo now squeezing in on this Sex Alley push with Game Reaper's help. Snooper and Phantom could potentially face a lot of danger if they coordinate a nice push between Game Reaper and Embo.
Yeah, they're super dialed in on Game Reaper. No one's watching the other side as Abbott does go down to a nade. Will be irresolable for the time being, but we got to keep our attention split back and forth. Snooper and Phantom stacked up here. Game Reaper swings, looking for the double kill. Won't find Phantom, though. Abbott is still down in Resible, and so we're into a 2v4. NFI looking good here, having that kill advantage, and while Abbott's still Resible, I think it's going to be tough for Just Do It to get there.
Yeah, this is definitely working in NFI's favor on a defense. Abbott's still Resible, Just Do It, really trying to pick off anybody that he could get a line onto, but it looks like it's going to be a very NFI heavy objective here. Phantom trying to overcome Embo, and Just Do It trying to overcome the rest of the team.
Yeah, the entirety of the squad watching Abbott's downed body here. This is a super big risk for Just Do It to peek out the deep angle instead of the short one and look for the kills, and Raz will find that kill out. So Phantom now alone in a 1v4. Imperial not getting this round, at least unless Phantom can pull off a solid kill here against Embo and then really collapse in on the rest of this defense. They should know that Phantom is here, though, and Phantom doesn't want to full send. Has to eventually, though. 30 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, this time crunch, when you hear that beep on your watch, it's one that puts a little extra pulse through your heart and really makes you question how you're going to push this without dying. It sounds like NFI is a bad kill count because Deadshot called out 2 over here, and a Phantom with an M9 taking him out, really trying to weed him out. Mad Hatter taking him out, giving NFI, for the first time in the series, 2 points on a map. I'm seeing in the comments, people are saying this is NFI comeback time, and if this is it, we're going to see it, and it's going to be great to watch.
Could be. Could be. They get 2. And like you said, the first time. And, well, Imperial now going to the defense on the market objective up top, and it's not easy to break into. You know, this objective really requires, in my opinion, a defensive mistake to come in order for you to get that cap, because the only way you get it is through smokes or, you know, capping on the corner where you shouldn't be allowed to go. It's the defense has to open up, has to have a gap in coverage essentially for there to be an opportunity to cap on this objective. And so at this level, I doubt that happens, but hey, anything can happen, and NFI very well could crack the shell of Imperial yet again and tie this up 3-3 on map 3. I mean, what a way to do it if they could. Backs against the wall, you know, the series on the line for the EU Grand Finals, and I'd be fine. I'd be more than happy with a map 4-5 to go the distance between these two squads. I'd be fine if I was wrong on my 3-0 prediction, but I'd also wouldn't hate it if I was right, because it's always good. It always feels good to be right on those predictions. They're hard to make because, hey, games like this can happen. Series like these can be so close, Chandler. I mean, even we said it in the pre-show. Your prediction was that we'd go a little bit longer than a 3-0, and, well, NFI are trying to make that happen here as we do dive into round 6.
Yeah, NFI definitely is defying the odds on paper. What we talked about with Imperial's absolute dominance on Subway. They're playing against the odds, and they're showing a great edge that they're able to find on Imperial. Maybe because they know that they play this map so often and they've seen how they decide to move. But it looks like Phantom Operator is going to be their main problem, as well as Abbott, as Utility comes around onto this main alley. Takes down 2. Just Do It. Like I was talking about, those utilities coming over the buildings. Just Do It confirming Game Reaper. The Mad Hatter still down in the Sex Alley. Phantom Operator could easily come over and confirm it. Already down to a 3.5v5 in the favor of Imperial. What a nasty nade we saw from that.
I don't think they're going to get Mad Hatter. I think that Res is going to come through pretty clean from Raz and Deadshot here. They're going to expend a smoke, though, which gives this away just a little bit. And, well, they don't seem too happy the utility was used. It also does, you know, they know they're here, so it doesn't really give too much info away. But the res does come in, and NFI have 4, but the first time in a while, they're down 4v5.
Yeah, Push said I wasn't paying attention to Embo on the north stairs going against 24 Gray. Gray has a nasty angle on Embo, but we're very focused on the pushes here with Phantom taking out Mad Hatter. confirming that one player that was once downed, easily taken out. Now it's a
Oh.
2v5 as Gray takes out Embo with a headshot. Imperial looking very powerful on this objective with no problems against the NFI attack. But we'll see if NFI has the patience and the will to weed out these players and find the weakness in the defense that we were talking about that is oh so special that you need to topple on these players.
2v5, and it's time to rotate off of this south push, they say, as Imperial getting closer and closer to being crowned the EU Season 15 Grand Finals finalists. It is 4 minutes away, unless NFI can make something happen. And the rotation over to the north side could cost them their life, more so than pushing up from the south, especially if Gray continues to hold here.
Gray in a very powerful position, an elevated position to say the least. I'm kind of upset we didn't see this objective, but this is one that you can't usually expect to win an uphill battle. Gray being very disciplined, Raz using the tablet to show that somebody's there, but really trying to pull out those shots from Gray as he rotates to the south part of the stairs. These two players are definitely feeling a little, I would say a little bit of confidence that they can take one on. But the way that they're peeking, I think they're very nervous. As Gray takes out Deadshot, he gets hit by Raz, and Raz gets a small rotation here to push Gray just a little bit. These stairs are what lies between a win and a loss of a player.
They're what stand between the win and loss of NFI. If Raz goes down here to Gray, they'll pop up, and Gray finds the kill. It's Imperial taking the EU Grand Finals 4-2 in a 3-map sweep in this best of 5. 4-1. Map 1 on Shipyard, 4-1. Map 2 on Tinker, 4-2. Map 3 on Subway. A dominant performance from Imperial. They remain undefeated this season. Are they going to be able to carry this into the Worlds? Because they are now 16-0 on the overall record for Season 15.
Yeah, what a huge way for Imperial to finish off, but it's one that you can't discount NFI's defiance in trying to topple the top team. 16-0 is not an easy feat, and obviously Imperial has a lot of eyes on their name and just making double checking, like, are they going to continue? Are they going to keep going? And they showed that strength today, going that 3-0 win. For this EU final champ spot that they fought so hard for and really just pushed for every possibility to topple all of the EU and take it this season.
They are the regional champions. Their team captain will take a lifetime subscription home to the Helga Esports Manager bot. A big shout out to them as our sponsor and contributing into that prize pool this season for Onward. I believe also NA getting a lifetime subscription service too, so the winner later today will take home something as well. But they're advancing to the Worlds. They're competing for that cash and VR cover kits, and we love to see a great performance here for the EU Finals. A big shout out to everybody tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action here this afternoon. We really do appreciate your support. We appreciate our sponsors' support, ProTube VR, VR Cover, and again, Helga, the esports bot manager. And we appreciate all the mod support, all the time going into running these tournaments. It is a lot of effort. Shout out to all the casters that have come together to make all of the broadcasts the way the high quality they have been. You can look forward to seeing more of that later today. So do keep your eyes peeled. The pre-show starts in an hour and 20 minutes from now. So do be sure to tune in back onto this channel for the NA Grand Finals. But that will be it for us here on the desk for the EU Finals. Maybe, let's see, who do we have as I wonder if we can get one from Imperial onto into this chat right now. I'm trying to look at the rosters. Let me hang. See if we can grab somebody. Yeah. Let's see. Everyone hang in there. We'll see if we can grab one of the champions. I just messaged Gray. And we should be able to pull them up here. So bear with us on the technical side as we do get a 2, I believe, of the players from the squad. We'll pull them up into this channel. I think Gray, being a caster, a shout out to them, and Just Do It will be joining us. Chandler, let's go down to them and ask some questions to our champions. We are, like I said, we are here now with Just Do It and 24 Gray. Congratulations to you both on becoming the Imperial EU champions of season 15. Just kind of give me your thoughts on how it feels to advance through so cleanly, really, in these EU finals. And Gray, we'll start with you.
It's I'm kind of lost for words still after all the shouting I did to my team, but it's been 2 years in the making, for myself. I'm sure me and Just Do It started Onward a similar time, so I'm sure the same goes for Just Do It, but we're over the moon. This is what we've dreamed of for 2 years, participating in VRML, so it's still like a fever dream, all the 4 seasons worth of playing this game, and it finally came true. And obviously we've not won yet, so we're raring to go for the round robins, but we're hoping to go all the way. I mean, that's what everybody's probably said, right? But we're in it to win it.
Yeah, it's again, congratulations to you. Just Do It. How are you feeling after a pretty quick 3-0?
I'm proud. I am proud. We worked really hard on strategy, worked really hard on homework, and NFI is the second and leader was a lot of time. Season 13 finals, I was there. It's very personal for me, and I'm just glad that I put the trust in Imperial to lead us to that way as a team, and we just achieved really the highlights for me. Even though I was in the World Wide Finals, for me this is the highlight. To be able to feel so confident, so clean with my team. And I really want to thank each and every one of you, casters, and my team, and everyone that's watching. And we really hope to go for that win.
Yeah, I want to ask you a bit about it. I mean, are you guys doing homework? Are you researching KFOT? I mean, they're a powerhouse squad over in that region. The NA champion coming up here will be determined in a few hours. I mean, how are you guys feeling about the World Finals after really, again, playing a very clean EU final?
We won't share too much, but KFOT we definitely get to play quite a lot, and we are really confident and really willing to show off what we can do against KFOT, the world champions for last season. And we're really are excited too to see who's gonna win, Mayhem or Raptors. We will be excited to play both teams. The Raptors multiple seasons champions, on honor to be the same round robins with them again. And I'm just really glad to be with Mayhem too if they're gonna win too.
Yeah, I guess that's really kind of my final question, because that is really what is up ahead for you guys this afternoon. Any sort of final thoughts, shout-outs you have to the community, anything like that before you wrap up, I guess, in a good EU season?
I'd just like to say, thanks for all the scrims that everyone participated in. I know scrimming us is not fun at times because, Do It will tell you we try hard. Every moment we get, we try hard because we want to perform our best. But thank you to all the teams that scrimmed, all the teams that participated against us, with us, and I guess NFI, newbies, you both turned up and played a great game. You had us twitching at times, NFI. we did nearly lose some rounds, the caps nearly came out, but, it was, again, we all play this game for the community, and it's been a hell of a ride. I hope season 16 is better, and we see the revival of Onward. Anything I missed, Do It?
Yeah.
No, I think you summed up really quickly. Thank you for everyone, and really is a super part of that. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching.
Awesome. We appreciate you both for playing this afternoon in a great series, but that will be it for us here on the desk and for the EU region. NA Finals coming up in an hour and 15 minutes with the pre-show, so do be sure to stick around for that. But that will be it. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Chandler Sullivan. A shout out to the Imperial team for locking in their victory in the EU Finals. And we'll see you all in really just a short amount of time to find our NA champion, so don't miss out on that. And until then, stay classy. Onward VRML is brought to you by Downpour Interactive, HyperX, ProTube VR, VR Cover. Thanks for watching VRML.